Chapter 81. His name is Yi Chun. As the first round of the competition had just begun, Yi Chun astounded everyone watching outside the arena with his powerful movement technique. Striking like lightning, the spectators outside were shocked beyond measure. But those participants from the three families within the 1,000-foot field who were competing alongside Yi Chun were even more astonished. And their shock was much more direct. Because they were right beside Yi Chun, they had a clearer view. At the moment Patriarch Yi released the yin-yang profound bell, everyone had launched their pursuit simultaneously, yet Yi Chun was able to surge past everyone in an instant, soaring to a height of 40 or 50 meters in the blink of an eye, even surpassing the white-yang profound bell shooting towards the sky. Such speed, such movement technique, completely dumbfounded all the other participants from the three families. Even the genuinely strong participants from the three families like Bai Xiaodai and Chen Ming, who had also been in pursuit of the yang profound bell, were momentarily stunned. The entire 1,000-foot field, with over 800 participants in the bell-snatching first round, even felt a strange sense of suspension for a moment. 100 black and white bells were flying chaotically in every direction, while the more than 800 young bell snatchers were all momentarily dumbfounded, only watching Yi Chun as he reached for the swiftly approaching white yang profound bell. And when Yi Chun caught 3 white yang profound bells in one swoop, that moment of suspension turned into exclamations of astonishment, just like those of the outsiders watching the competition. My God! What kind of movement technique is this? Who is that? A swell of discussion rose, sweeping across the entirety of the 1,000-foot field in an instant, and amidst this shock, the participants had even forgotten to chase after the bells that were still speeding away. Within the bell-snatching participants, Bai Xiaodai was next to Yi Chun, chasing those swiftly flying yang profound bells. At this moment, the young girl who had been quiet and indifferent since entering the martial arts plaza was now filled with disbelief, her large, bright eyes fixed on Yi Chun, with all her indifference vanishing into thin air. She had never imagined that among the family, there would be a young man with a movement technique even stronger than hers. Such a movement technique, even in her own sect, the 6th-grade great sect Peach Blossom Valley, was rarely achievable by true Qi realm disciples. He is. Bai Xiaodai looked towards Yi Chun, but could not remember the name of this youth. The Yi, Bai, and Chen families had dominated Qingyang City for over 1,000 years, with descendants spread far and wide. The younger generation was especially numerous, and except for a few familiar sisters, Bai Xiaodai, who had always been dedicated to her cultivation, wasn't familiar with the other young members at all. Or rather, no one had ever managed to catch her attention. Now, this young man who surpassed her had suddenly invoked a desire within Bai Xiaodai to get to know him. She wanted to know which family this young man, who seemed about her age, belonged to, and what his name was. How could he be so incredible? The tri-family competition really does hide some young talents with secret strengths. Which family does he belong to? He is definitely not from our Chen family. Could he be from the Bai family? Or possibly the Yi family? At this moment, Chen Ming also felt a sense of crisis. This unexpectedly powerful young man had become another person who commanded his attention besides Bai Xiaodai. He aimed to win the tri-family competition, and there were hardly any among the young generation he took seriously. He used to have only Bai Xiaodai on his mind, but now there was another. Not only had Bai Xiaodai and Chen Ming failed to recognize Yi Chun, the vast majority of the participants from the three families in the competition were unfamiliar with Yi Chun. Who is this powerful young man, exactly? This question arose in the hearts of the majority. It was very normal not to know Yi Chun, who had always been so unremarkable within his family. Among the crowd, only a select few of about a dozen people recognized Yi Chun. Yi Chun. That's Yi Chun. A tall-legged young girl who was following Bai Xiaodai, Chen Ming, and others in pursuit of the white yang profound bells suddenly recognized Yi Chun. This girl, whose long legs were straight and shapely, was a captivating figure at 17 or 18 years old, from the Yi family, just like Yi Chun, and currently the highest in the true Qi realm among the younger generation of the Yi family, with the 9th level of true Qi Yi Shui. Yi Shui, according to the Yi family's internal hierarchy, was Yi Chen's older cousin. When she was younger, not much older than Yi Chun, Yi Shui would often play with him. Later, once Yi Shui entered the 7th grade sect, Holy Sect, and left the family, her contact with Yi Chen reduced significantly. When she heard about the incident involving Yi Chen's parents and the rumors that Yi Chen had provoked a Spirit Sea realm expert, Yi Shui was also startled. She had hurried back to the family not only to participate in the tri-family competition but to see if she could assist Yi Chen in any way. After learning from the patriarch that Yi Chen and his parents had safely returned, Yi Shui had even gone specifically to visit Yi Chen's parents. But at the time Yi Chen was in the midst of his training and she did not see him. What Yi Shui did not expect was that Yi Chen would now be so formidable, seizing everyone's attention as the frontrunner during the first round of the tri-family competition. No wonder Yi Chen has even provoked a Spirit Sea realm powerhouse. His strength has become so formidable. As she watched the youth soaring above the crowd, Yi Shui murmured to herself. In addition to Yi Shui, those youths who regularly trained with Yi Chen before he had joined Qingyun's sect also recognized him now. It's Yi Chen. My God. Yi Chen has become so powerful? Didn't he join the 8th rank Qingyun sect? How could he have improved so quickly? At this moment, the two people whose hearts were most tumultuous were Bai Xiaodong and Chen Yun. Seeing Yi Chen grabbing 3 white yang profound bells, they immediately remembered what he had said before the competition started. Back then, when Yi Chen said he would try to help the two of them snatch the bells, they thought he was joking. Even when Yi Chen said he would help them snatch the yang profound bells, they wondered if he had gone mad to think of snatching one of the mere 10 yang profound bells available. Now, with Yi Chen clasping 3 yang profound bells in his hand, it was clear that in addition to keeping one for himself, he had also managed to grab 2 for them. Yi Chen had directly fulfilled his earlier promise. Not only did he help them snatch the bells, but he also snatched the most precious yang profound bells. Yi Chen. I can't believe Yi Chen really has such strength. He wasn't bragging. He truly can help us snatch the bells. Amidst Bai Xiaodong and Chen Yun's murmurs, amidst the stunned silence of hundreds of youths from the 3 clans, amidst the shock of the strongest youths like Bai Xiaodai, Chen Ming, and Yi Shui from the 3 clans, and under the watchful eyes of countless spectators from the clans outside the arena, Yi Chen, holding 3 white yang profound bells, twisted his body and swooped downwards. Under countless gazes, he flew directly towards Bai Xiaodong and Chen Yun. Xiaodong, Yun, these 2 bells are for you. Yi Chen stretched out his hand and pushed the 2 wildly struggling, flying white bells into their hands. He snatched 3 yang profound bells, and the extra 2 were for helping others? By the looks of it, did he plan to snatch 3 at once from the start? 3 yang profound bells, out of only 10 in total, and he was confident enough to snatch 3 all at once? Yi Chen's actions once again astonished the many youths of the 3 clans who were watching him. While they were still worried about whether they could snatch a bell, this youth was able to help others snatch bells, and not just any bells but the most precious ones. That's just too powerful. These youths of the 3 clans wouldn't say anything about Yi Chen's actions. In the barbaric wilderness continent, martial prowess is revered, and in the heavenly wind kingdom, the martial spirit is especially strong. Yi Chen, being so powerful, was also helping his comrades within the allowed rules. Others could only admire him, wishing that they had such a powerful comrade to help them, just like Bai Xiaodong and Chen Yun. Bai Xiaodong and Chen Yun, holding the yang profound bells, were also flushed with excitement. Yi Chen, thank you. The 2 hadn't imagined that they would have the chance to hold a yang profound bell in their hands. Yi Chen. So his name is Yi Chen. The way Bai Xiaodong and Chen Yun addressed Yi Chen caught the attention of all the youths who were observing him, as they simultaneously turned to look at the youth standing beside Bai Xiaodong and Chen Yun. Yi Chen. Bai Xiaodai, dressed in a bright yellow gown, softly recited the 2 characters. Yi Chen. Chen Ming, at the 11th layer of True Qi realm, mentioned this name with a grave expression. Yi Chen. His name is Yi Chen. All the youths participating in the tri-clan competition instantly remembered that name, the name of the youth called Yi Chen. Chapter 82. The Top 10 Combat Arenas. Infuse it with true Qi, with these 3 bells, We can all enter the next round of the competition, Yi-chun said to Bai Xiaodong and Chen Yun with a smile. As stated by Patriarch Yi, who was hosting the first round of the competition, after snatching the yin-yang profound bells, by infusing true qi into the bells, and once they explode, it is deemed that the first round of bell snatching was a success, thus smoothly advancing to the second round of the three clans' grand competition. By now, Yi-chun had successfully snatched bells for Bai Xiaodong and Chen Yun. Only the step of infusing them with true qi remained. Bai Xiaodong and Chen Yun were not stubborn people, of course. They would not decline such a thing, and with a flick of their true qi, they began to infuse it into the yang profound bells in their hands. However, when their true qi entered the yang profound bells, it was like throwing stones into the sea, causing not the slightest movement of the bells, let alone making them burst and acknowledging their success in bell snatching. What's going on? Could it be that our power is insufficient, and these yang profound bells are simply not meant for us to possess? The faces of Bai Xiaodong and Chen Yun changed. At this moment, Yi-chun also noticed that something was amiss. With a thought, he looked again at the bells flying all over the sky. This time, with a light flicker of his figure, two black yin Shenling bells instantly landed in his hands. This ease, once again, surprised the countless onlookers who were paying attention to Yi-chun, Bai Xiaodong, and Chen Yun. Everyone could see that this first round of bell snatching posed no difficulty for Yi-chun. Yi-chun's power had already far surpassed the requirements of the first round. He could easily capture any flying yin-yang profound bells. If the yang profound bell isn't working, let's try these two then. Yi-chun handed the two yin Shenling bells to them again. If this attempt still didn't work, then they would have to snatch them by themselves. This time, when Bai Xiaodong and Chen Yun infused true qi into the yin Shenling bells, two loud bangs were heard, and the two bells burst apart immediately. We did it! We succeeded in bell snatching. The instant the two yin Shenling bells exploded, Bai Xiaodong and Chen Yun felt a great force ejecting them from the 1,000-feet field. At the same time, the two white yang profound bells Yi-chun had given them earlier flew out of their palms again and started to zoom haphazardly back inside the 1,000-feet field. Instantly, both understood that with Yi-chun's help, they had successfully accomplished the first round of the competition. Although they had failed to make the yang profound bells explode, successfully snatching the yin Shenling bells had allowed them to enter the top 100 and to secure one of the 90 deputy positions in the second round of arena combat. Seeing that Bai Xiaodong and Chen Yun had completed the bell snatching, Yi-chun didn't hesitate any longer. A blue gleam of qi surged from his hand, and in an instant, countless strands of the world's true qi rushed into the white yang profound bell he held. The yang profound bell, which Bai Xiaodong and Chen Yun had failed to make explode, blew up instantly in Yi-chun's hands with a bang, and a dazzling white light flared across the entire 1,000-feet field. This signified that Yi-chun too had succeeded in bell snatching. He was the first to capture one of the 10 yang profound bells, and secured the first chief position in the second round of arena combat. After Yi-chun flew out of the 1,000-feet field, those young contestants from the three clans, who had been shocked by Yi-chun's formidable bodily movements, finally re-entered the bell-snatching mode. Bell snatching! Like Yi-chun. Let's snatch the yin-yang profound bells and move on to the next round. Dozens of figures became extremely active all over the 1,000-feet field, chasing the wildly flying yin Shenling bells, and those powerful disciples from the three clans were even reaching for the remaining 9 yang profound bells. The whole 1,000-feet field plunged back into the frenzied competition of bell snatching. At this time, Yi-chun, Bai Xiaodong, and Chen Yun stood outside the 1,000-feet field, watching the ongoing first round and waiting for the final results to emerge. Half a tea time after the three of them exited the 1,000-feet field, another figure flew out from the field. This figure, dressed in bright yellow martial attire, with an attractive face, was none other than the genius girl from the Bai family, Bai Xiaodai. Bai Xiaodai also succeeded in bell snatching, and like Yi-chun, she too captured one of the 10 yang profound bells. As soon as Bai Xiaodai landed outside the field, she looked towards Yi-chun, who was watching the battle. The girl, as concise and straightforward as her attire, directly approached Yi-chan and greeted him. "Hello Yi-chan. My name is Bai Xiaodai. You're really amazing to be able to catch the Yang Profound Bell so quickly in the first round. And for you to catch 3 at once. In terms of agility, I'm nowhere close to you." Seeing Bai Xiaodai walk up to Yi-chan all of a sudden, Bai Xiaodong and Chen Yun's hearts began to race. Previously, they had never interacted with Bai Xiaodai, and now here she was, standing vivaciously in front of them, naturally causing their hearts to beat furiously. Even Bai Xiaodong, who came from the same Bai family, had never stood so close to Bai Xiaodai before. Now, because of Yi-chan, Bai Xiaodai had come to stand beside them, allowing them to closely observe the renowned genius girl of the 3 great families. Yi-chan, unlike Bai Xiaodong and Chen Yun, simply nodded with a smile to Bai Xiaodai, exchanged a few words in a low voice, and then turned his gaze back to the 1,000-feet field. Not long after Yi-chan and Bai Xiaodai, as well as the other 2, had succeeded in bell snatching, another 5 or 6 people snatched in Shenling bells and flew out of the 1,000-feet field. Subsequently, the 11th layer True Qi powerhouse from the Chen family, Chen Ming, lived up to expectations, becoming the 3rd to obtain a Yang Profound Bell. When Yi Shui, Yi-chen's older cousin, snatched the 8th Yang Profound Bell, the Yin Yang Profound Bells that were still flying about in the 1,000-feet field were now few and far between. In the end, as half an hour passed by, the last Yin Shenling was captured and successfully filled with True Qi by a 16-year-old teenager from the Yi family, leaving no more Yin Yang Profound Bells flying chaotically around the 1,000-feet field. They had all been taken. 90 Yin Zhuangling and 10 Yang Profound Bells had all found their respective snatchers. The first round has ended. The top 100 contenders have all been selected. My child Luor succeeded in bell snatching. Chen Feng, you're amazing. You snatched a Yang Profound Bell. After all who had snatched a bell made their way out of the 1,000-feet field, the watching clan members from the 3 families crowded in, many of them shouting excitedly. These excited individuals were unmistakably connected to those who had succeeded in bell snatching. Young Master Chan, Little Tower, together with Yi Xiaotian and Lin Rin, waved their hands excitedly toward Yi-chan. Yi-chen's performance in this round had shocked all the clan members of the 3 families, and the 3 of them were the happiest. However, in the competition among the 3 major clans, success naturally means there is also failure. At this moment, the more than 700 young men who didn't snatch a bell walked out of the 1,000-feet field with dejected expressions, many shedding tears. Although they had a realistic assessment of their own abilities, failing in the very first round still brought them down. It meant that they had no chance in the next 2 rounds and were now without hope for access to the ancestral land, which only opened once every few hundred years. The family members of these youngsters flocked around them, comforting them in hushed tones, easing their emotions slightly. The first round had concluded. Patriarch Yi, who was overseeing the first round, walked out with a smile on his face. He even nodded towards Yi-chan with a smile, causing Yi-chan to be momentarily stunned. Yi-chen's performance in the first round had indeed brought a pleasant surprise to Patriarch Yi. Besides Yi Shui, the younger generation of the Yi family didn't have any standout youths this time. Yi-chan had suddenly kindled great hope within him. Maybe this young man could overpower the rest and claim the first place in the competition among the 3 clans, bringing glory to the entire Yi family. Patriarch Yi even harbored such expectations. He was eagerly looking forward to Yi-chen's performance in the next rounds. All right, the first round, bell snatching, has ended. The selections for the main contenders of the 10 arenas and the 90 supplementary contenders for the next round, arena combat, have all been determined. Now, let Patriarch Chen announce the rules for the second round. After Patriarch Yi joyously declared the end of the first round, Patriarch Chen, the only one among the 3 patriarchs who had not yet spoken, stood up. Patriarch Chen was of middle age among the 3 clan leaders, a vigorous old man in his 60s with a full beard. His gaze swept over the 100 youths who had qualified for the second round and spoke. You 100 people have successfully snatched the bells and entered the second round, arena combat. For the second round arena combat, 10 major combat arenas have been prepared for you. As he spoke, a black box appeared directly in his hands. Patriarch Chen gently opened the box, and innumerable rays of light shot out, descending upon the 1,000-foot field. Before everyone's eyes, 10 massive arena clusters suddenly appeared in the originally vast 1,000-foot field amid a great flash of light. Each arena cluster featured a colossal white platform standing 6 meters high and with a diameter of 11 to 12 meters, surrounded by 9 smaller black platforms each 3 meters high and approximately 5 to 6 meters in diameter. Each arena cluster, identical in design, totaled 10. This was precisely the 10 major combat arenas Patriarch Chen had referred to. Seeing the 10 combat arenas instantly take shape within the 1,000-foot field, all the clan members from the 3 families were taken aback. They could tell that these platforms were the result of the light emitted from the box in Patriarch Chen's hands, condensing into form. The box in Patriarch Chen's hand was clearly a treasure, capable of instantly setting up combat arenas. Condensing qi into platforms? This must be a marvelous creation treasure, matched in black and white colors, just like the yin-yang profound bell. Could this also have been specially prepared by our ancestors for selecting clansmen to enter the ancestral land? Yichen looked at the distinct black and white combat arenas in the 1,000-foot field, then glanced at the box in Patriarch Chen's hand, thinking to himself, both the flying yin-yang profound bells from the first round and the instantaneously set combat arenas from the second round felt incredibly magical to him. If these items prepared solely for the selection process to enter the ancestral land were this extraordinary, how wondrous must that mysterious ancestral land be? Yi Chen's anticipation for the yet-to-be-explored ancestral land grew even stronger. Chapter 83. The First Main Contest. After the 10 arena combat platforms were all set up, Patriarch Chen continued, as you have all seen, these 10 arena combat platforms are divided into 10 combat zones. Each combat zone has a huge white platform. This is the main platform of the 10 great arena combats, and those who previously seized the Yang Profound Bell will enter this main platform. The 9 smaller platforms that remain are the 9 auxiliary platforms for each combat zone, and those who seized the Yin Xianling will enter the auxiliary platforms. The second round of competition is divided into 2 types of battles: Ancestral Land Qualification Battle and Top 10 Selection Battle. The Ancestral Land Qualification Battle takes place on the 9 auxiliary platforms within each combat zone, with 9 people fighting each other until the 2 strongest among the 9 are decided. The 2 strongest of the auxiliary platforms in each combat zone, along with 1 main platform victor, making 3 people in total. With 10 combat zones, that makes 30 people in all who will finally enter the ancestral land to participate in the exploration of the ancestral ground's secret realm. As soon as Patriarch Chen's voice fell, the 100 youngsters participating in the second round and the clan members of the 3 tribes all became agitated. Listening to Patriarch Chen, it was clear that in the second round of the competition, the 30 people who would enter the ancestral ground's secret realm were to be directly selected. Moreover, according to this rule, the 10 people in the 10 main platform positions, unlike the 9 people in the auxiliary platforms who still had to fight each other to determine the strongest 2, the 10 main platform holders seem to have already been included in the list of 30, directly obtaining the qualification to enter the ancestral land. Yi Chen and Bai Xiaodai, among others who had obtained the White Yang Profound Bell, exchanged glances, with excitement in their eyes. They, the 10 of them, had seized the Yang Profound Bell and entered the main platform, which already meant that they could enter the ancestral land. Everyone understood, no wonder that during the first round of competition, Patriarch Yi said that one must seize the Yang Profound Bell if possible. It turned out there were such great benefits in seizing the Yang Profound Bell. However, obtaining the Yang Profound Bell had always been much more difficult than obtaining the Yin Xianling, and for these 10 who had seized the Yang Profound Bell, entering the top 30 was effortless. Obtaining the qualification to enter the ancestral land was well-deserved. What I just explained are the rules for the Ancestral Land Qualification Battle. Patriarch Chen pressed the air with his palm, quelling the discussions in the venue, and continued, after the 30 are selected for the Ancestral Land Qualification Battle, the Top 10 Selection Battle will begin. Before the competition of the 3 tribes began, Patriarch Bai also stated that the top 10 will receive special rewards when entering the ancestral land. So, of course, the top 10 must be selected. The purpose of this top 10 selection battle is to select the top 10. In each combat zone, the 2 auxiliary platform victors who win the ancestral land qualification battle will have the opportunity to challenge the main platform. Eventually, the strongest in each combat zone will be the first of that combat zone. The ones who rank first in these 10 combat zones will be the final top 10 of this competition among the 3 tribes. Also, the final 10 contestants of the second round, top 10 selection battle. After these 10 contestants are determined, they will enter the final round of the 3 tribes competition, the third round, top 10 ranking battle. At this point, Patriarch Chen looked at the youngsters in the arena, focusing mainly on the 10 main platform holders like Yichun and Bai Xiaodai. The 90 of you who seized the Yin Xianling, you must strive to break into the top 30. This is your challenge. The 10 of you who seized the Yang Profound Bell must not be careless. Although you are already set for the top 30 and can enter the ancestral land, if you are defeated by the 2 strongest auxiliary platforms in the top 10 selection battle, you will not be able to enter the top 10 and will lose the chance to obtain the special reward for the top 10. I believe that you all want more than just the qualification to enter the ancestral land. Those special rewards, the Ancestral Grounds secret map, and the Ancestral Blood, you want to obtain them too, don't you? Therefore, each one of you must perform well in this second round arena combat and bring out your strongest ability to achieve good results. Having finished speaking, all the young competitors' eyes burned with the will to fight. The 90 candidates for the auxiliary platforms naturally strove hard to make it into the top 30. And for Yichun and the other 9, just as Patriarch Chen said, they aimed not just for the top 30 but to break into the top 10 and obtain the right to enter the final round, the top 10 ranking battle. By achieving excellent rankings in the top 10 ranking battle, they aim to take hold of the Ancestral Grounds secret map, prepared specifically for entering the ancestral land, and even more ambitiously, to capture the highest reward, the Ancestral Blood, by finishing first. The competitors filled with the will to fight were ready for their battling trials, just waiting for the beginning of the second round arena combat. Finally, Patriarch Chen announced, "All the rules, I have already explained them. Now, go to your positions and prepare to start the arena combat. Look at your palms. The number that appears in the center of your hands is your combat zone position. White represents the main platform position. Black represents the auxiliary platform position." As Patriarch Chen's voice fell, the palms of the 100 youngsters present all lit up. At the same time, all the arenas among the 10 in the Thousand-Zhang space radiated light, revealing a series of numbers. These numbers, ranging from 1 to 10, were precisely the numerals of the 10 combat zones. The symbol in my palm is a black 9. I will enter the 9th combat zone. Mine is a white 7. I am the principal contestant of the 7th combat zone. Each of the youngsters looked at the palms of their hands, saw their position announcements, and then turned their gaze towards the arenas within the Thousand-Zhang space. At that moment, Yichun also looked into his palm where, strikingly, a dazzling white number 1 emerged. Yichun's position was, astonishingly, that of the primary contestant in the first combat zone. Once everyone had clearly discerned their positions, Patriarch Chen loudly declared, "Enter the combat zones and prepare to commence your arena combat." Following his words, a succession of figures flew towards the arenas inside the Thousand-Zhang space, and Yichun soared directly towards the centermost arena of the 10 grand combat zones, the highest white arena in the first combat zone. Soon after, everyone positioned themselves. The observing members of the 3 clans gathered around the 10 combat zones. Standing atop the vast white main arena of the first combat zone, Yichun surveyed the field. He noticed that next to him, in the main contestant position of the second combat zone, was none other than Bai Xiaodai. At this time, Bai Xiaodai, seeing Yichun's examining gaze, smiled and nodded gently towards him. Yichun then looked towards the other arenas and saw Bai Xiaodong currently in the deputy position of the 7th, while Chen Yun was in the deputy position of the 9th. Just as Yichun was assessing the situation, a young girl's voice suddenly called out from below the first combat zone. "Young master! Young master!" Following the sound, Yi-chun saw the young girl tower, along with his father and mother, squeezed into the crowd observing the first combat zone. "Dad, Mom, tower!" Yi-chun also greeted the three of them. "Chen Feng, I never expected that both of us would enter the third combat zone. Heavens, the principal contestant of our combat zone is Chen Ming. It's over. There's no hope of taking first place in this zone and advancing into the top 10. Bai Xiaodai. Bai Xiaodai is in our combat zone. Is that Yi-chun from the first round with the exceptional martial skills? He is right there in the primary position of our first combat zone. Could his strength be as formidable as his technique? Only by advancing into the deputy finals of the combat zone can we confront him. Once all were positioned, they began to appraise their soon-to-be opponents and the principal contestants of their respective arenas, and waves of exclamations and discussions echoed in all directions. Let's begin the second round of the first match of the Ancestral Land Qualification Battle. Accompanying Patriarch Chen's voice, all the arenas across the 10 combat zones commenced their deputy combat exchanges. Standing on the largest and highest white arena in the first combat zone, Yi-chun looked down. At this time, the first combat zone's earliest match was between two deputy contestants. One was a young man wielding an iron rod, the other a young woman holding twin blades. Yi-chun did not need to take action in this first Ancestral Land Qualification Battle. He simply watched the combatants, preparing to assess the strength of the younger generation from the three great clans. Chapter 84, Watching the Battle, Comprehending the Sword. The youth wielding an iron staff displayed a staff skill like a sweeping hurricane, with an endless sequence of attacks. Judging by the power of his staff skill, it could very well be a yellow-class mid-tier martial skill. Meanwhile, the girl holding a pair of swords, with her swords working in tandem, seemed to envelop the area like a range of mountains. No matter how the iron staff youth attacked, her coordinated swords blocked all his offensives. Looking at the girl's sword techniques, her martial skills grade was probably no less than that of the iron staff youths. The first pair to come out and fight showed considerable strength, which explained why they dared to challenge the ring first. After watching the two of them fight for more than 100 moves, Yi-chun on the main ring platform slowly nodded. This iron staff youth's staff skill shares some similarities with the first move of my wind sword skills, Hurricane Frenzy. However, his attacks are too aggressive, too fierce, lacking in leeway for countering. My wind sword skills, being superior in the grade of cultivation technique to this staff skill, not only possess the ferocity of Hurricane Frenzy, but also have the gentle and unpredictable 13 wind strips, along with various moves derived from the wind like Wind Spiral Kill and Wind Strangle Kill. Unconstrained by form, not limited to a single approach, the combination of different moves encompassing various attacking methods allows one to freely apply them in combat, making it hard for the opponent to predict and defend. Although the Iron Staff youth and the sword-wielding girl's martial skills seemed quite ordinary to Yi-chun, he was reflecting on the similarities and differences between their skills and his own, thereby gaining a deeper understanding of his abilities. Gradually, Yi-chun wasn't just observing this one fight. He expanded his divine sense, covering all the battles happening on the 10 major rings. After cultivating the Meridian Refining Art and Gang Yuan Mantra from the Primordial Star Scripture, Yi-chun's control over his surroundings had reached a radius of several hundred meters. He could discern every move and style of attack in the battles taking place on the 10 major rings. Gradually, Yi-chun truly began to enter a marvelous state of combat observation and sword enlightenment. Observing combat, contemplating all the fights in the 10 major combat zones. In each combat zone, the 9 subrings engaged in combat, adding up to a total of 36 bouts. The 10 major combat zones amounted to 360 fights. Those who had advanced from over 800 competitors in the first round of the Tri-Tribe competition to the top 100 were no ordinary youths, each possessing their unique martial skill. These martial skills might not compare to the mysterious class martial skills Yi-chun had practiced, but the richness of martial skills contained within these 360 fights far exceeded the total of all the cultivation techniques he had learned before. Yi-chun was as if watching 90 subrings demonstrate various martial skills and attack and defense strategies to him. This extensive study of martial skills gave Yi-chun an even deeper understanding of his own abilities. Observing combat, understanding swordsmanship, contemplating 360 real battles, enlightening the swordsmanship in his heart. Even more so, Yi-chun began to compare the various artistic conception moves of both wind sword skills and wind movement skills that he had seen Chen Jizi practicing in the Mirror Light Spirit Wall in the Thousand Lotus Cave abode with these real fights. He had begun to further his understanding of the two mysterious class lower-tier martial skills, wind sword skills and wind movement skills. He had cultivated to minor accomplishment, and he started to touch upon the essence of these skills at the great accomplishment level. While Yi-chun was engrossed in combat observation and sword enlightenment, most of the main contenders in the other 9 major combat zones closed their eyes for cultivation, neglecting the battles in the subrings below. In their minds, their strength was far greater than that of the subring contenders below, and they held no regard for the martial skills in the subrings. Cross-fertilizing ideas, there was always something to gain, they knew not. Among 3 men walking, one can always find a teacher, they were unaware. Even the most inferior yellow-class martial skills have their merits, for they were after all martial skills. Engrossed in their own cultivation, they were truly missing out on the enlightenment that came with comparing real combat. Only a few, like Yi-chun, observed the battles below. However, they could not observe the fights across all 10 major combat zones simultaneously like Yi-chun, who had cultivated the primordial star scripture. At best, they could only watch the battles within their own combat zone and perhaps the adjacent ones. Their gains compared to Yi-chun's were significantly smaller. The 10 major combat zones and the 90 subrings plunged into combat, progressing towards the selection of the 2 strongest subring competitors in every zone. Atop the 10 main rings, the main contenders were cultivating and observing. As time passed, the outcomes of various bouts started to emerge, clarifying the respective strengths and weaknesses within each combat zone. At this moment, in the first combat zone, on the primary ring, Yi-chun, having observed dozens of fights, truly entered an extremely mysterious state of sword enlightenment. There he sat cross-legged upon the main ring, seemingly tranquil, but around him, the air began to pulsate crazily. Around his body, a sweeping hurricane appeared one moment and then scattered gusts of gentle breeze the next. In the end, there were even whirlwinds of storm, their spinning and twisting, their furious strikes, and raging whirlpools emerged wildly around Yi-chun's body. Outside the combat ring, among the 3 tribal chiefs, Patriarch Yi focused his gaze on the various combat zones, and time and again on Yi-chun atop the primary ring. Having learned of Yi-chun's immense strength from his parents, and that he had attracted the attention of Jialuo, the strongest person from the 36 sects of the eastern region of the Heavenly Wind Kingdom, Patriarch Yi paid extremely close attention to Yi-chun. Yi-chun's performance in the first round of bell snatching further fueled his expectations. Therefore, aside from Yi-chun's own parents and tower, Patriarch Yi was one of the people who paid the most attention to Yi-chun. When Yi-chun entered the miraculous state of combat observation and sword enlightenment, causing changes in the air around him, Patriarch Yi spotted the difference in Yi-chun right away. When Patriarch Yi saw Yi-chun sitting quietly in meditation and the air around his body changing wildly, even containing some of the marvelous charms of a cultivation technique, he widened his eyes, unblinkingly watching Yi-chun. Ultimately, when the surging winds concept around Yi-chun's body advanced towards the great accomplishment level of the wind sword skills and wind movement skills, the mysterious martial skill moves contained within the winds concept even caused Patriarch Yi's eyes to shine with an endless brilliance. Patriarch Yi, a veteran powerhouse with 12 layers of true qi, had an extraordinary wealth of experience and insight, and he immediately recognized the power of the cultivation technique that Yi-chun was comprehending. Yellow class cultivation technique. And it's a powerful yellow class cultivation technique that contains a terrifying artistic conception. Yi-chun is comprehending a cultivation technique. It wasn't only Patriarch Yi who noticed the unusual activity around Yi-chun. In the second combat zone beside Yi-chun, a beautiful girl in bright yellow clothes by Xiao Dai was one of the few main ringmasters also observing the battle on the stage. Like Patriarch Yi, Bai Xiaodai also glanced over at Yi Chun from time to time. Gradually, Bai Xiaodai also noticed the anomaly in the air surging around Yi Chun. The young girl's rosy lips slowly parted in awe, and a look of amazement appeared on her face. Having cultivated in the great sect Peach Blossom Valley, her experiences were naturally out of the ordinary. Yi Chen's silent meditation and sword comprehension even gave Bai Xiaodai the feeling of watching a spirit sea realm expert comprehending martial skill divine arts. This was the feeling of true and profound comprehension, a sensation only true masters of martial skill comprehension could possess. Bai Xiaodai could hardly believe that the young man beside her on the main ring platform had entered this wondrous state. Eventually, as Yi Chun gradually comprehended the 8th and even the 9th moves of wind sword skills, swords of wind blade began to truly form around his body, spiraling and dancing in the air. This was not the wind blade swords controlled by the wind sword intent. Yi Chun was now in a state of sword comprehension and had not used his wind sword intent. This astonishing phenomenon was due to Yi Chun touching upon the great accomplishment of wind sword skills, causing the air to change and become like a sword wind. This wonderful sight, these swords of wind blade fluttering around Yi Chen's body, gradually attracted the attention of not only Patriarch Yi and Bai Xiaodai. Observers in the first combat zone also gradually noticed the anomaly surrounding Yi Chun. Although many of them couldn't tell what Yi Chun was doing, the magical wind blade swords emanating from Yi Chen's body made them feel an inexplicable power, an inexplicable mystery. Gradually, this attention spread from the first combat zone to the second and third combat zones. More and more people noticed Yi Chen's divine marvel, noticed the difference in this extraordinary young man from the first round to the second. In the end, even the 3 great patriarchs turned their eyes towards Yi Chun. Aside from the few young contestants still competing on the main rings, the majority of gazes gradually converged upon Yi Chun. As for Yi Chun, he cared nothing for all of this. Indeed, he seemed utterly indifferent. At this moment, his mind and spirit were completely empty. He no longer watched the battles on the subrings that were drawing to a close. He had completely immersed himself in the final push for the great accomplishment level of the 2 profound yellow-class cultivation techniques. After a long while, when 8 out of the 10 combat zones had determined their 2 main subrings, Yi Chun finally awoke from this wondrous state of meditative sword comprehension. When he awoke, the wind's concept that had swirled around his body dissipated. Phew! Yi Chun exhaled deeply, revealing a smile. This meditative state of sword-watching had yielded him immense gains, even surpassing his static meditations of the past several days. For wind sword skills and wind movement skills, he had even genuinely touched the threshold of great accomplishment. He was just half a step away from cultivating these 2 techniques to great accomplishment. He was just one true battle away from transforming all his meditative sword-watching insights into actual unleashed moves. The top 10 selection battles, the ranking battles for the top 10, come forth. Yi Chun stood up from his seated posture, eager to begin his battle, his own trial by combat. When others saw Yi Chun revive from his silent meditation, emitting a refreshed aura, those who had been watching him sensed the change in Yi Chun. If Yi Chun was previously like a sheathed sword, he now seemed to have drawn the blade, exuding the aura of a true swordsman ready for battle. As these observers watched, the remaining 2 combat zones finished their subring battles. Finally, the last 2 combat zones selected their 2 strongest subrings. Thus, the subring battles for the ancestral land qualifications, which lasted nearly 2 hours, finally came to an end. All 20 of the strongest subrings emerged, and together with Yi Chun, the main ringmaster, the 30 candidates entering the ancestral land were determined. And with the end of the ancestral land qualification battles, the selection battles for the top 10, the challenge between the subrings and the main rings, were also about to begin. For Yi Chun, his battle had at last arrived. Chapter 85. Yi Chun enters the arena. The losers of the secondary rings, eliminated, move to the spectator area. Accompanied by the words of Patriarch Qian, the host of the second round, 70 out of the 90 competitors on the secondary rings in the 10 combat zones sadly swept down from the platforms. Although Bai Xiaodong and Chen Yun had made it into this second round with Yi Chen's help, their strength was still lacking, and they were now among the 70 eliminated, joining the crowd below. However, having personally experienced the second round of competition left them quite satisfied. What they had left to do was to see just how far Yi Chen could go in the great competition between the three clans. By now, in each of the 10 combat zones, only one main ring and the 2 strongest secondary rings remained. 30 individuals stood firm in a vast array of arenas, representing the true powerhouses among the younger generation of the Yi, Qian, and Bai clans. It was these 30 who would enter the ancestral land that had opened for the first time in over 300 years to explore the mysterious ancestral land's secret realm. You 30 will enter the ancestral land to explore the ancestral land's secret realm. As Patriarch Qian announced the results, the 30 still standing on the platforms showed expressions of excitement and anticipation. At last, they had heard the result. At last, they had obtained the qualification to enter the ancestral land. That mysterious ancestral land, the secret realm they had heard about in legends since childhood. They finally had the chance to enter and explore its mysteries. Seeing the eager expressions of the youths, Patriarch Qian nodded and continued. Earning the qualification to enter the ancestral land is just the beginning. Making it into the top 10 and securing the special reward for entering the ancestral land will allow you to encounter the true great opportunities and fortunes there. Now, the top 10 selection battle begins. The 2 strongest secondary rings in each combat zone may challenge the main ring. Whoever wins takes the place of the main ring, ready to face the next challenger. If all 3 are in a situation where each has 1 win and 1 loss, we'll have a final showdown on the main ring. Whoever is knocked out of the ring is eliminated, and the one remaining on the main ring will be the ultimate victor. Finally, the strongest person from each combat zone will claim first place in their zone and advance into the top 10. Begin the challenges. After Patriarch Qian declared the official start of the top 10 selection battle challenge, the entire spectator area became electrified, with members of all 3 clans stirred into excitement. Even the youngsters from the 3 clans who had just been eliminated managed to shake off their despondency, turning their attention to the combat platforms, ready to witness the birth of the mightiest 10. It has begun. From the 30 strong, select the top 10. This is a battle among the mighty. The onlooking clansmen from all 3 families crowded around the combat platforms, all widening their eyes to take in the struggle above. This contest among the 30 strong was where the true power resided. There were no weaklings here. Each one wielded powerful true chi and formidable martial skills. They were about to fight for their chance to break into the top 10 and gain that special reward. At that moment, on the combat platforms that held everyone's rapt attention, all secondary rings turned their eyes towards their main rings. Each main ring contender also looked back at their 2 strongest competitors. What followed would be a battle amongst the 3 to determine the strongest. In the first combat zone where Yi Chen was located, both secondary ring contestants were 17 or 18-year-old youths, who now looked at Yi Chen with a sense of awe. They clearly understood the anomaly that occurred while Yi Chen sat meditating in the main ring, indicating from his cultivation's phenomena that Yi Chen was no weakling. Furthermore, Yi Chen's miraculous performance in the first round made them dare not to underestimate him. After exchanging glances, the 2 of them both laughed wryly. Neither dared to be the first to challenge Yi Chen. Meanwhile, challenges had been issued in other combat zones, and even in the second combat zone where Bai Xiaodai resided, a young girl in red robes had issued a challenge to Bai Xiaodai. Challenges had commenced in 9 combat zones, but the first combat zone was yet to start, which sparked whispers among the onlooking clansmen. They must not dare to challenge the young master, said the little girl tower with a giggly smile to Yi Xiaotan and Lin Rin standing beside her, below the first combat zone. Her young master had already successfully qualified for the ancestral land, so the little maid was quite relaxed. Yi Xiaotian and Lin Rin also responded with a light chuckle. This time, Yi Chen's performance filled them with immense pride. Their child was drawing attention even among the entire 3 clans. Amid the discussions of the spectators, a youth, slightly older than the other, finally leaped onto the main ring of the first combat zone. "Brother Yi-chun, I am Bai Xiaolong and I challenge you." The youth respectfully bowed to Yi-chun and spoke up. With a challenge issued to the main ring in the first combat zone, Yi-chun was finally about to enter the fray. When Yi-chun showed off his movement technique while snatching the token, this was the opportunity for many to turn their gaze towards the first combat zone, eager to see just how formidable Yi-chun's martial skills were in addition to his movement technique. Even Bai Xiaodai, in the neighboring combat zone, was fending off a challenge on the sub-arena while also paying attention to Yi-chun's movements. Yi-chun smiled and returned the salute to the young man. "Brother Bai, make your move." "Okay. I don't dare to be overconfident in sparring with Brother Yi-chun, so I'll take the liberty of making the first move without further ado." As Bai Xiaolong spoke, with a swoosh, he drew out a fine steel treasured saber from his hand. With a flick of his wrist, the treasured saber transformed into a shimmer of blade light, slashing towards Yi-chun. "What weapon will Yi-chun use?" "I've never seen him use a weapon." The spectators, watching Yi-chun directly face Bai Xiaolong's all-encompassing blade light, all tensed up. Yi-chun's fine steel sword had shattered during his battle with Zhou Hai at 10,000 Beasts Mountain, and he hadn't purchased another sword since. Moreover, his flying sword, Crimson Fire, was even less suitable for use in such a significant family competition. Hence, Yi-chun had no weapon on him. However, although Bai Xiaolong had made it into the top 30, his true Qi realm was only at the 6th level, and Yi-chun could tell that the coming blade technique was of a lower mid-yellow tier martial skill. Such a challenge might be daunting to other clan members watching the battle, or even to other young contenders. But how could it possibly trouble Yi-chun? In the instant that Bai Xiaolong's widespread blade light descended on Yi-chun, the latter simply pinched with his fingers and caught the flat of the treasured saber amidst the flurry of blades. Then, with a flick of his fingers, a powerful force swept towards Bai Xiaolong's arm. Bai Xiaolong felt a heat in his grip as the treasured saber was directly flicked out of his hand. Yi-chun, with his bare hands, had directly sent Bai Xiaolong's treasured saber flying. This brief exchange was enough to determine the superior fighter. Bai Xiaolong's complexion changed. He had anticipated Yi-chun's prowess but had not expected him to be so formidable. Scrambling backward, he tried to retrieve the treasured saber that had been knocked away. Instead of seizing the opportunity to defeat him outright, Yi-chun turned his gaze to the perimeter of the 1,000-yard area. When his eyes landed on a large tree some 20 meters away, a thought crossed his mind. Stretching out his hand, he made a grabbing motion towards the tree, and a branch as thick as a thumb and over half a meter long snapped off, flying directly towards Yi-chun. In the blink of an eye, the branch landed in Yi-chun's hand. With a shake of his hand, true Qi enveloped the supple branch, making it seem as if it had turned into a sword in Yi-chun's grip. Yi-chun's ability to pluck a branch from the air, infuse it with true Qi, and turn it into a sword left Bai Xiaolong completely dumbfounded. The onlookers were also agape. They had never seen such a casual and effortless display. In their astonishment, Yi-chun flicked the branch in his hand, and immediately it became 8 points of sword light thrusting towards Bai Xiaolong. This was unmistakably the 8 cuts in one breath technique from the torrential rain sword skills. Seeing the 8 points of sword light aiming for 8 different parts of his body, Bai Xiaolong was so startled that he crossed his saber in an attempt to block Yi-chun's attack. In the clash of offense and defense, Yi-chun's branch went up against Bai Xiaolong's fine steel treasured saber. Ding! 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 Among the sounds of metal clashing, Bai Xiaolong's fine steel treasured saber was actually pierced through by the branch, creating 5 holes. The fine steel treasured saber's sharpness proved inferior to a common branch in Yi-chun's hand. After his saber was punctured with 5 holes, Bai Xiaolong couldn't withstand the immense force coming from the branch. The reaction force from his own treasured saber sent him flying backwards. At the same time, the 3 streaks of sword light he failed to block swiftly moved in, instantly stabbing towards Bai Xiaolong's arm, thigh, and neck. The chilling intent of the sword qi made Bai Xiaolong's flesh, muscles, and even his soul tremble. He was left with no means to avoid them. If Yi Chun didn't pull back, Bai Xiaolong felt that the 3 streaks of sword light would surely kill him. Just as Bai Xiaolong was seized with terror, Yi Chun flicked his wrist, and the 3 streaks of sword light heading for Bai Xiaolong abruptly changed direction, passing by him and piercing another large tree several dozen meters away, creating 3 large holes through it. Sure enough, just as Bai Xiaolong had feared, had the sword light hit him, it would have killed him outright. From this simple exchange, Bai Xiaolong knew the gap between him and Yi Chun was immense. He was no match for even a single move from Yi Chun. I admit defeat. Brother Yi Chun, you truly are formidable. You deserve to be the champion of our first combat zone without question. Staring at the 3 large holes in the tree tens of meters away, Bai Xiaolong's heart skipped a beat as he respectfully conceded defeat to Yi Chun. Afterward, he promptly leapt down from the main arena, not daring to stay a moment longer. Yi Chun won his first match with effortless ease. Chapter 86: The Top 10. True Qi Realm's 6th layer, a powerful saber technique of the yellow mid-grade martial skills. And yet it's not even a match for a single move from Yi Chun. When Bai Xiaolong made his retreat from the main stage like fleeing for his life, those who knew his strength were all shocked. Bai Xiaolong fought his way into the top 30, winning 7 consecutive bouts in the 9 subrings, and only lost to another subring contestant, Qian Shan. With such formidable strength, he still suffered a devastating defeat at Yi Chen's hands, and he was utterly incapable of fighting back. Others no longer dared to speculate about Yi Chen's strength. They finally realized that Yi Chen's movement technique was extremely formidable, and his combat martial skills were equally unparalleled. They finally understood that Yi Chen's dominant performance in the first round of the bell-snatching competition was no fluke. Good. Patriarch Yi, who was watching Yi Chen's battle from outside the stage, was greatly relieved. He knew that Yi Chun hadn't exerted his full strength just now. He had probably not even used 1/10 of his combat power. The challenge in this subring could not incite Yi Chen's true combat prowess. Perhaps in this match, only a few individuals like Bai Xiaodai and Qian Ming could make Yi Chun exert his full strength. Patriarch Yi was already envisioning the scene of Yi Chen's battle among the top 10. Meanwhile, Bai Xiaodai, the main stage contestant of the second combat zone, had her eyes light up when she saw Yi Chen's movement technique, which seemed like taking objects from the void, and his storm-like sword strikes. After repelling the contestant challenging her subring, she waved her palm and directly swept the contestant off the main stage. Bai Xiaodai was eager to break into the top 10 and truly cross hands with Yi Chun. Below the stage, when Yi Chun forced Bai Xiaolong to admit defeat with a single move, Bai Xiaodong and Qian Yun exchanged glances, both smiling wryly and shaking their heads. From the moment Yi Chun helped the two of them snatch the bell, they knew that he was far stronger than he appeared to be on the surface. Now, Yi Chen's first battle had once again proven their guess. Before the Triclan competition, the two were saying that Yi Chen only had the possibility of making it into the top 30. Now, it seems pointless to mention the top 30, as Yi Chun might very well make it into the top 10 or even top 5, the top 3. Bai Xiaodong and Qian Yun had no idea where Yi Chen's true limits lay. Now, with Bai Xiaolong's defeat in challenging Yi Chun, only one subring contestant, Qian Shan, was left in the first combat zone who hadn't challenged Yi Chun yet. Qian Shan, looking at Yi Chun on the main stage holding a twig as if it were a divine sword, felt a numbness in his heart. His strength was only slightly stronger than Bai Xiaolong's, who couldn't withstand a single move from Yi Chun. Qian Shan knew it would be difficult for him to block even a few moves from Yi Chun. However, the only chance for a subring to challenge the main ring was not to be wasted. Even if he were to lose, he wanted to personally cross hands with Yi Chun, to personally gauge Yi Chen's strength. This was a respect for the strong, respect for Yi Chun. Whoosh! With this thought in mind, Qian Shan hesitated no longer and leaped onto the main stage. He respectfully said to Yi Chen, I, Qian Shan, also seek to learn a couple of moves from Brother Yi Chun. Yi Chen smiled and nodded at Qian Shan. Brother Qian Shan, come. Yi Chen also wishes to see your flying needle technique. This Qian Shan with True Qi Realm 7th layer, was about the same as Yi Chun in the realm of true qi. Of course, that was not considering the Gang Yuan true qi that Yi Chun cultivated. The internal cultivation of heaven and earth true qi was about the same. As for the practiced martial skill, Yi Chun remembered that when he observed the fight earlier, Qian Shan seemed to be using a set of flying needle martial skills, which had caught his attention at the time. The flying needles were extremely small and thin, and their speed was very fast. Yi Chun thought that he would directly compete with Qian Shan on speed. After making their salutations, the two commenced their true battle. Qian Shan's flying needles were controlled with true qi, and as he made his move, an immense wave of true qi swept out from within him, immediately enveloping the entire main stage. In the instant that the true qi engulfed the space, no less than 100 gleaming needles were thrust towards Yi Chun. The true qi spread, and hundreds of flying needles shot out. An event far more spectacular than by Xiaolong's previous attempt. Clearly, Qian Shan had exerted his full strength from the onset. In crossing hands with Yi Chun, he dared not be the least bit neglectful or reserved. Good move! As the hundreds of flying needles came stabbing towards him, the twig in Yi Chun's hand burst apart, turning into hundreds of splinters. At the same time, Yi Chun reached out with his hand, and the 7 vortexes of true qi within his dantian vibrated simultaneously, causing a vast true qi to sweep out. He immediately controlled the hundreds of splinters, which collided with Qian Shan's flying needles. Yi Chun did not use sword intents to control them. He wanted to compete directly with Qian Shan using true qi. On one side, the flying needles zoomed through the air. On the other, the splinters burst forth. In the void, the two vast waves of true qi collided, and countless needles and splinters clashed together. Boom! The audience watching below could clearly see that each of Qian Shan's flying needles was met with a splinter. Not one more, not one less. In the thunderous clash, Yi Chun's splinters even caused Qian Shan's flying needles to fly back toward him. Qian Shan took the initiative, while Yi Chun was responding, but Yi Chun was able to detect the position and number of all Qian Shan's flying needles in an instant. Moreover, he controlled the splinters that resulted from the exploding twig to repel back all those needles. It was obvious to see that Yi Chun's speed of execution was much faster than Qian Shan, who was known for his quick needle control. Yi Chun's true qi was also much stronger than Qian Shan's. Chapter 87. Top 10 Part 2. In the direct competition at the 7th level of true qi, Yi Chun didn't use any other means, and yet he still managed to put Qian Shan completely at a disadvantage. Martial skill powerful. Reaction speed extremely good. Even his combat methods are so diverse. All the martial artists below the stage, including Patriarch Yi and Bai Xiaodai, who had been observing Yi Chun, felt the more they watched Yi Chun's moves, the more endless his techniques seemed. They had originally thought that Yi Chun would continue to use sword techniques like he did against Bai Xiaolong to deal with Qian Shan, but to their surprise, Yi Chun directly compared weapon control martial skills with Qian Shan. Even in the technique of controlling a multitude of weapons, he was far stronger than Qian Shan, who had always used this martial skill. Qian Shan, who was actually facing Yi Chun, already felt his hands and feet turn ice-cold at this point. His proudest martial skill, the one that had defeated 8 vice-arenas, was directly pushed back by a single move from Yi Chun. Obviously, if Yi Chun were to use this martial skill, he would be even more formidable. Still fighting. As this thought surfaced in Qian Shan's mind, he even considered admitting defeat directly. However, gritting his teeth, he clapped his hands together, and the flying needles that were flying back towards him shot towards Yi Chun once again. This time, the sky full of flying needles stirred up a massive windstorm. All the needles seemed to merge into one, attacking Yi Chun with the intent to shred. Shred! This is still not the true windstorm shredding. Seeing Qian Shan's attack, Yi Chun's eyes flickered as he recalled the 4th style of the wind sword skills. Wind shredding, that he had realized just by watching the battles in the vice arenas. He hadn't actually used wind shredding yet, and right now the embryonic form of Qian Shan's windstorm needle technique made Yi Chun itch to try it out. Yi Chun pointed towards the void with his great hand, and the twigs and debris that had fallen on the ground instantly flew up, suddenly forming a vast windstorm in the void. This great windstorm even enveloped all the flying needles that were coming down from the sky. Qian Shan's windstorm formed by the flying needles was rolling and moving 7 or 8 meters across towards Yi Chen to shred him. But Yi Chen's move was to form a shredding windstorm right on the spot, instantly. The speed at which the windstorm formed was almost instantaneous, as if it was specially designed to wrap around the needle group. Everyone could see that Yi Chen's tactic to control the shredding windstorm was mightier. It was like a spontaneously born windstorm in the void that could form anywhere. This was precisely the powerful move of the wind sword skills. The inferior Shen-level technique wind shredding, which Yi Chen had just comprehended. Wind shredding could form a windstorm anywhere, any place. Where true Qi moves, a windstorm forms. And what was even more terrifying was the power of wind shredding. When Yi Chen controlled the twigs and debris to form a windstorm and completely wrapped Qian Shan's flying needles, Yi Chen clenched his great hand and the entire debris windstorm began to spin crazily. On each piece of debris, the essence of wind surged. Each piece had its own direction of rotation. All the debris joined together, and the rotation in different directions directly created a fearsome shredding force. Boom! At the end, the terrible debris windstorm suddenly contracted in the center, like the eye of a storm tightening, and a horrifying blasting sound immediately emerged from the center of the debris windstorm. As this sound was emitted, Yi Chen withdrew all the true Qi that was controlling the wind sword skills. The twigs and debris fell and scattered on the ground again, and everyone shockingly discovered that the flying needles, which were previously whirling wildly, had all vanished. This shredding force had completely broken all the flying needles engulfed in the windstorm into dust. Whoosh! 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 Frightened by the terrifying killing power of the Shen-level martial skill that Yi Chen had eagerly controlled, Qian Shan stumbled back several steps and fell onto the main arena. He was not upset that the flying needles were destroyed. He practiced the flying needle martial skill and had over a dozen sets of flying needles. What shocked him was that all these flying needles, made of mysterious iron and extremely sturdy, were actually ground to dust by Yi Chen's move. The power of Yi Chen's killing move had exceeded his imagination. It had surpassed his understanding. He had seen many martial skills and even observed several high-grade yellow-tier martial skills, but he had never seen any martial skill with such immense power. Mysterious martial skill. It's a mysterious martial skill. In the second battle zone, by Xiao Dai, upon seeing the storm that Yi Chen generated from nothing and the terrifying force of annihilation, cried out in shock. Her distraction made the young man fighting against her quite speechless. The young man had long noticed that Bai Xiao Dai was simultaneously fighting him and observing Yi Chen's battle, but no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't beat Bai Xiao Dai. When he heard Bai Xiao Dai's exclamation, the young man serving as the deputy in the second battle zone also looked towards the main platform where Yi Chen was, and seeing Qian Shan collapse to the ground, he too was startled. He knew Qian Shan and had never seen Qian Shan looking so terrified before. Mysterious martial skill. It really is a set of mysterious martial skills. Yi Chen's methods are revealing more and more. I never expected he had even successfully cultivated a mysterious martial skill. Patriarch Yi at this moment was also filled with great surprise and joy. If he knew that this was merely a minor move among Yi Chen's 9 great moves of his mysterious martial skills, and that Yi Chen had control over moves far stronger than this, his surprise would have been 100 times greater. Bai Xiaodia's cry of alarm caused the spectators below to be startled as well. Many of them were martial artists, but almost none had access to mysterious martial skills. In the 3 great families, only the 3 patriarchs had cultivated several sets of mysterious martial skills, which shows how precious mysterious martial skills are. When they heard that what Yi Chen had used was a mysterious martial skill, the area was swept by gasps of astonishment and a flurry of amazed discussions. Mysterious extreme martial skills? So, I lost to a mysterious martial skill. Yi Chen. He's actually cultivated a mysterious martial skill. Qian Shan, who had collapsed on the main platform, also heard Bai Xiaodia's cry of alarm, and his stunned and shocked mind gradually regained some clarity. He finally knew where he had lost. Qian Shan stood up and walked up to Yi Chen. Yi Chen, you are too powerful. Losing to you, I am thoroughly convinced, by mouth and by heart. You are, without a doubt, the strongest in our first battle zone, the number one. I admit defeat. After Qian Shan had spoken, he gave Yi Chen a respectful bow and flew down from the main platform. Having witnessed a set of mysterious martial skills in his exchange with Yi Chen, it was worth it for him, and with Bai Xiaolong and Qian Shan's successive admissions of defeat, all of the second-round matches in the first battle zone officially ended. Yi Chen, winning 2 consecutive battles and claiming the top rank in the first battle zone, directly entered into the top 10 of the Tri-Family tournament. He smoothly passed the top 10 selection battle and officially entered into the top 10 ranking battle. Now, all that awaited was the start of the third round, the final top 10 ranking battle. Chapter 88. Sky Arena. Not long after Yi Chen, as the strongest from the first battle zone, had killed his way into the top 10 of the Great Clan competition by Xiao Dai, standing beside him from the second battle zone, also defeated the 2 auxiliary stages and broke into the top 10. Then came Chen Ming from the 5th battle zone, Chen Feng from the 7th battle zone, and Yi Shui from the 9th battle zone. Half an hour later, all of the strongest from the 10 great battle zones had successively emerged. The 10 great battle zones, 10 strong contenders, standing on the main stage of the battle arena, they were the final top 10 of the Great Clan competition. The top 10 have been decided. It is these 10 people, regardless of their final ranking. They will all receive the special reward of the Ancestral Grounds secret map. By Xiao Dai, 15 years old, a true Qi 11th layer powerhouse, the top disciple of the Peach Blossom Valley, a 6th-rank sect from the southern region of the Heavenly Wind Kingdom. Qian Ming, 18 years old, a true Qi 11th layer powerhouse, the external disciple of the Tai Xian sect, a 6th-rank sect from the eastern region of the Heavenly Wind Kingdom. In the family competitions of the previous years, he has always been the first. Yi Chen, 15 years old, rumored to have just reached the 7th layer of the true Qi realm, but in the first 2 rounds, his performance was even stronger than Chen Ming and Bai Xiaodai. One really doesn't know how far he will kill into the final ranking of the Great Clan competition. There's also Chen Feng with the 10th layer of True Qi, Bai Xiaoning with the 10th layer of True Qi, Yi Shui with the 9th layer of True Qi. These young warriors are the most powerful individuals among the younger generation of our 3 clans, our hope and future. Observing the 10 young men and women standing proudly on the main stages of the 10 great battle zones, having withstood the first round of bell snatching and the second round of arena battling to still stand at the end, all the clanspeople from the 3 clans watching the fight were exceptionally excited. Chen, Xiao Dai, the parents of these 10 youngsters were among the crowd at this moment. The father and mother of Yi Chen, the father and mother of Bai Xiaodai, the father and mother of Chen Ming, watching their children standing on the highest main stage and breaking into the top 10 of the entire Great Clan competition. They were filled with immense pride. These were their children, the hope of their families, and even more so, their hope. Within the excitement and agitation of the clanspeople, the patriarchs of the 3 clans walked to the center of the field. Patriarch Bai, who was the first to preside over the Great Clan competition, raised his hand to quiet the crowd's chatter and, smiling, said, "The 10 people remaining on the main stage now are the top 10 of this Great Clan competition. Their performance has greatly impressed us 3 old fellows and brought us much comfort." As he said these words, Patriarch Bai even nodded toward Yi Chen with a smile. Clearly, Yi Chen's performance was the most shocking and delightful to him. "Master, Madam, Patriarch Bai is praising the young master. Not just Patriarch Bai, but also Patriarch Yi and Patriarch Chen. I see them nodding towards the young master frequently," said Little Maid Tower, grinning towards Yi Xiaotian and Lin Yin. Yi Xiaotian and Lin Yin exchanged a look and also nodded with a smile. They too had noticed that the 3 patriarchs were extremely satisfied with their child, Yi Chen's performance. Patriarch Bai continued, "The top 10 have been born, but their rankings have not yet been truly decided. Among them, who will be first, who will be second, is still unknown. Next, we will have the last round of the Great Clan Competition, the third round, the top 10 ranking battles. Let's see to whom the 10 different Ancestral Grounds secret maps, leading into the Ancestral Grounds, will eventually belong. Let's see who among them can ascend to the highest position among the younger generation of our 3 clans. Let's see who among them can claim the first position and receive the highest reward, the ancestral blood. These words of Patriarch Bai also reflected the thoughts of the clanspeople watching the competition at that moment. All the clanspeople wanted to know, out of the 10 people who had fought their way to the last, who would surpass the others, who was the strongest among the 10. Their gazes, for the most part, gathered on Bai Xiaodai, Qian Ming, and Yi Chun. Bai Xiaodai and Qian Ming were long renowned, while Yi Chun was a dark horse that had suddenly emerged in this clan competition. Most assumed that the ultimate strongest would be one of these 3, although more guessed that Bai Xiaodai and Qian Ming were more likely to be the last standing. After all, although the impact Yi Chun had made was significant, it was not as deeply ingrained as the impression of strength given by the disciples of the 2 major 6th-rank sects, Bai Xiaodai and Qian Ming. On the 10 main stages, the figures of the final top 10 Yi Chun's group also looked towards each other, observing the opponents they would soon face in the top 10 ranking battles. After taking a look around, Yi Chun realized that there were not many familiar faces among the final 10, but he was mildly surprised when he saw Yi Shui. He recognized the girl. She was a cousin from his family with whom he had often played as a child. Yi Shui also noticed Yi Chen's gaze and smiled, nodding at him. After sizing each other up, the top 10 of the Great Clan Competition looked towards the 3 patriarchs. They prepared to listen to how the 3 patriarchs would arrange the competition method for this third round, top 10 ranking battle. The top 10 ranking battle. It will also take place in the 1,000 feet field. The place where you will fight is called Sky Arena. As Patriarch Bai spoke, another small black box reappeared in Patriarch Qian's hand. This black box was none other than the one that had earlier released countless rays of light, directly forming 10 huge arenas within the 1,000 feet field. At this moment, Patriarch Qian lightly tapped the center of the little box, and the 10 huge arenas within the 1,000 feet field emitted thunderous roars. Yi Chun and the 9 others all leaped up from the main arena, looking toward the light-transformed arena groups, watching their new transformations. Amidst the great din, the 10 massive arena groups turned back into beams of light and then soared into the sky, 10 meters above ground. Then, these beams of light slowly congealed in the sky, 10 meters above ground, and finally formed 5 enormous arenas, each several tens of zhang in radius, directly in the sky. Is this the Sky Arena? Everyone on the martial arts plaza of the 3 clans, whether it was the 10 who were to participate in the final round or the members of the 3 clans, all looked up at the 5 huge arenas formed of condensed light in the sky. The light danced and turned into 10 large arenas, then flew up into the sky, where it condensed into 5 vast aerial arenas. This miraculous sight left everyone watching in awe. Patriarch Qian holds the Yin-Yang mysterious box in his hands, which, like the Yin-Yang profound bell, used in the first round, is also crafted by the hands of our ancestors. The Yin-Yang mysterious box, gathering Yin-Yang mysterious qi within, can transform anything. The battle arenas from the second round of competition, and now the sky arenas in the sky, are all formed from this mysterious qi. Below, the top 10 will fight in the Sky Arena, Patriarch Bai announced. Fight in the sky? Inside this Sky Arena? The 10, including Yi Chun, looked at the grand battle arenas formed in the sky, finding it quite extraordinary. To compete on an arena suspended in midair was an experience none of them had ever had before. In this top 10 ranking battle, all 10 will fight each other, undergoing 9 rounds of round-robin competition. Ultimately, based on the results of these battles, the final rankings of the top 10 will be determined. Those with the same scores will be ranked comprehensively based on their performance in the first 2 rounds and the result of their battles against each other. Now, let's begin the first round of the round-robin competition. Patriarch Bai looked toward the top 10 standing in the arena from the three clans and declared the start of the final top 10 ranking battle. The first round of the round-robin competition. The battles are as follows. Yi Chun versus Bai Xiaofei. On the far left in the first Sky Arena. Bai Xiaodai versus Chen Feng. In the second Sky Arena. Chen Ming versus Chen Yuan. In the third Sky Arena. Bai Xiaoning versus Yi Shui. In the fourth Sky Arena. Bai Wushuan versus Chen Feng. On the far right in the fifth Sky Arena. Now, ascend to the Sky Arena to begin the competition. Among the top 10, Yi Chun and Yi Shui from the Yi family both made it to the finals. The Bai family and the Chen family had 4 members each selected. As Patriarch Bai announced the matchups, Yi Chun moved swiftly. His art of wind movement, displaying as he flitted like a light breeze, directly flying up to the first Sky Arena, over 10 meters high. His dashing and effortless movements drew cheers and shouts from the spectators below. The others also displayed their movements, flying toward their respective Sky Arenas. For the top 10, the Sky Arena, over 10 meters high, presented no difficulty, as they all could fly up using their martial skills. Looking at the setup of the Sky Arena, it seemed that not having the ability to fly up to it meant one didn't even qualify to participate in the competition. Once the top 10 had each taken their positions, the opponents in the matchups were plainly clear. Yi Chen's opponent in the first round was Bai Xiaofei, a 17-year-old youth. Bai Xiaofei, originally the vice leader of the 9th battle zone, had defeated the main leader of the 6th battle zone during a challenge, seizing the top 10 spot directly. This showed that while Bai Xiaofei may have been at a slight disadvantage during the first round, the bell snatching, he was somewhat stronger in the second round of true martial skill combat. Bai Xiaofei wielded a silver spear over 3 meters long. After taking his position, he swept the spear and looked toward Yi Chun. Brother Yi Chun, in this first round of the top 10 ranking battle, it's our turn to compete. Yi Chun also smiled at Bai Xiaofei, holding no weapon in his hands, and simply replied with a light laugh, "Make your move, brother of the Bai family." Chapter 89 Unstoppable. All right, brother Yi Chun, be careful. As Bai Xiaofei's words fell, the true qi from within his dantian surged out, turning the silver spear in his hand a deep cyan. This was the infusion of true qi into the spear. He was about to employ true qi skills. When the entire spear was roaring with surging psi and true qi, Bai Xiaofei's hand trembled, and the spear, over 3 meters long, burst towards Yi Chun like a flood dragon emerging from water. And just as the spear tip was about to pierce Yi Chun's body, the entire spear split into 8, simultaneously launching 8 flashes of spear light, each targeting one of Yi Chun's vital points. Ordinary spear techniques involved only one form of attack. But these 8 spear flashes hurtling towards Yi Chun, each contained 8 different attacking styles. The one being attacked would have to divide their focus in 8 different ways to defend themselves. This attacking spear technique was incredibly powerful. Bai Xiaofei's set of spear techniques was named Jiao Dragon 36 Strikes, a high-grade yellow-tier martial skill. Its 36 strikes were derived from the 36 different attack methods of a Jiao Dragon, making it extremely difficult to defend against. It was with this well-crafted set of spear techniques that Bai Xiaofei had forcefully fought his way into the top 10. Bai Xiaofei thought that even if Yi Chun was strong, even if he could withstand the first of the 8 attacks, there were still a relentless series of deadly strikes following closely, aimed at Yi Chun. In the end, the most powerful move of the Jiao Dragon 8 strikes could even unleash 36 different attacks, giving Yi Chun no avenue of escape. However, Bai Xiaofei clearly overestimated his own abilities and underestimated Yi Chun's combat prowess. At the moment his spear turned into 8 spear flashes aiming for the 8 vital points on Yi Chun's body, Yi Chun suddenly reached out with a large hand and grabbed Bai Xiaofei's spear in one go. Next, not giving Bai Xiaofei any chance to change his tactics, Yi Chun released the hidden energy of the Wind Sword skill's 3rd technique, Wind Spiral Kill, straight from his hand, through the shaft of the spear, to the entirety of the spear and even directly into Bai Xiaofei's hands. In an instant, Bai Bai Xiaofei felt an unbelievable spiraling force coming from the spear shaft. The entire spear started to wildly rotate under the terrifying power of the twist, and Bai Xiaofei, who was holding the spear, was even spun into the air by this rotational force. Bai Xiaofei, who had initiated the attack, was unexpectedly sent flying through the air by Yichun via the spear. Trying to break free, he couldn't escape the terrifying power of the rotation. This shocked Bai Xiaofei greatly and made the crowd watching from below the sky ring scream. Yichun, who had just unbalanced Bai Xiaofei with a single move, had no intention of stopping. This was only the first fight of his ranking in the top 10, and he had no intention of wasting any more energy on it. Yichun flicked the spear tip he was holding in an instant, hurling Bai Xiaofei from the other end with a terrible force. Then, with a horizontal sweep of the spear, he knocked Bai Xiaofei off the sky ring and slammed him heavily onto the ground below. Boom! This sweep possessed such a massive force that it even cracked the ground beneath the ring, forming a huge fissure several meters long. Bai Xiaofei, struck by this enormous force, felt the true qi inside his body churning chaotically. He struggled to get up, only to directly find an enormous spear tip suddenly appearing in front of him. This was none other than Yichun holding what was originally his spear, swooping down like a great pong spreading its wings from the sky ring, striking at him once more. Bai Xiaofei tried to dodge the spear tip, but was horrified to discover that all his escape routes had been completely sealed by Yichun's seemingly ordinary thrust. He had no chance whatsoever to dodge. If this had been a fight to the death, he might have even been killed by Yichun by now. Bai Xiaofei knew that he had lost this fight at the hands of Yichun. Facing Yichun, he had absolutely no ability to fight back. Even though he wielded a powerful high-grade yellow-tier martial skill, it was to no avail. Brother Yichun, I have lost. Bai Xiaofei, holding the long spear, admitted defeat aloud. In the first round of the top 10 ranking battle, as Bai Xiaofei was defeated and fell from the sky arena, Yichun secured the victory after Bai Xiaofei conceded. After this first battle ended, Yichun returned the long spear to Bai Xiaofei and then sat down cross-legged beneath the sky arena, recovering his true qi while waiting for the other battles above to conclude. When the battles on all 5 sky arenas ended, the winners and losers of the first round of the cycle battle were successively born. Yichun, Bai Xiaodai, Qian Ming, Qian Fong, and Yi Shui were victorious in their first battles. The remaining 5 lost. Then, after resting for the duration of an incense stick, the second round of the top 10 ranking cycle battle began once again. Just like in the first round, where Yichun swept away Bai Xiaofei in an instant, in the second round, Yichun used only 2 moves to defeat his second opponent, Qian Yuan of the Qian family, one of the top young fighters. In the third round, Yichun defeated Qian Fong with just 1 move. Then came the 4th round, the 5th round, the 6th round. With each contest in the top 10 battles underway, all the spectators from the 3 clans were shocked to discover that the first sky arena, where Yichun was fighting, was always the first to finish the battle. And each time, the winner was Yichun. Furthermore, Yichun never used more than 5 moves in each battle. Even in the 7th round, when Yichun faced his own cousin from his clan, Yi Shui, who had true qi at the 9th level and had already won 4 battles, Yichun still only used 4 moves to defeat her outright. Everyone could see that Yichun's combat power far surpassed most of the others in the top 10. These people stood no chance of halting Yichun's march toward victory. Yichun, seemingly unstoppable, marched victoriously through the ranks, taking a more and more commanding lead among the top 10. After all 7 rounds ended, Yichun had achieved 7 victories, a record matched only by Bai Xiaodai. Even Qian Ming, who was originally considered the most likely to win, lost to Bai Xiaodai in the 7th round, finishing with 6 wins and 1 loss. And the battle between Qian Ming and Bai Xiaodai brought an immense surprise to all the members of the 3 great families. These 2 hot contenders for the championship even displayed martial skills of the lower-grade Shen level that they had perfected. Along with Yichun, there were now 3 young members from the 3 great families who had mastered Shen-level martial skills, a phenomenon that hadn't occurred in the families for 100 years. This indicated that the 3 great families might flourish greatly in this generation. Keep in mind, Yi Chun and Bai Xiaodai were only 15 years old and had already mastered Xian-level martial skills, which would qualify them as prodigious talents even in great sects. Everyone could see that the first place was very likely to be contested between Yi Chun and Bai Xiaodai. And the two people Yi Chun had yet to face were precisely Qian Ming and Bai Xiaodai. After a short rest, the 8th round of the top 10 ranking battle finally began. And Yi Chen's opponent for this round was none other than Qian Ming, a formidable fighter with true qi at the 11th level. If Yi Chun, like Bai Xiaodai, defeated Qian Ming in battle, then Yi Chun and Bai Xiaodai, who were already far ahead, would commence the true battle for first place in the 9th round. If Yi Chun wanted to contend with Bai Xiaodai for first place, he must first overcome the equally formidable Qian Ming. Chapter 90, Big Surprise. On the first day of the Sky Ring, Yi Chun and Qian Ming stood opposite each other. Below their Sky Ring, the area was packed with members from the three clans. This match even drew more spectators than Qian Ming's previous bout against Bai Xiaodai. Aside from the youths still competing on other rings and their families, the vast majority of the three great clans members had gathered beneath the first Sky Ring. The tournament had now reached the 8th round of the top 10 rankings battle, and the positions were more or less determined. The hot favorite to win the championship, Bai Xiaodai, was up against Bai Xiaofei, who was relatively weaker among the 10. There was no suspense in Bai Xiaodai's victory against Bai Xiaofei. Another favorite for the championship, Yi Chun, now faced the equally formidable Qian Ming. Bai Xiaodai's previous fight against Qian Ming had triggered a tremendous battle, with both even deploying their ace martial skills. It wasn't until the very end that Bai Xiaodai defeated Qian Ming. Now, as Yi Chun faced Qian Ming, no one knew whether Yi Chun would win or Qian Ming would prevail. While the other matches lacked suspense, this one captivated everyone's attention. Even Bai Xiaodai, who was fighting Bai Xiaofei on the second Sky Ring, defeated Bai Xiaofei in just 2 moves. Then she turned to watch the match between Yi Chun and Qian Ming. Bai Xiaodai also wanted to see if Yi Chun could defeat Qian Ming and compete with her for the first place in the end. After defeating Bai Xiaofei, Bai Xiaodai had achieved 8 consecutive victories. If Yi Chun was weaker than Qian Ming, it meant that Bai Xiaodai could likely secure first place in the round before the last. Yi Chun, I hope you can continue your miraculous performance and defeat Qian Ming. If so, maybe you could force me to reveal my true trump card, the one I have never even used against Qian Ming. Dressed in bright yellow robes, Bai Xiaodai sat cross-legged on the second Sky Ring, her beautiful eyes full of anticipation looking towards Yi Chun. In the clan's grand competition, no one had ever pushed Bai Xiaodai to her utmost limit. Bai Xiaodai hoped that Yi Chun would have the chance to engage in a truly exhilarating battle with her. In the midst of universal anticipation, Yi Chun and Qian Ming, standing on the first Sky Ring, completed their pre-fight formalities and were about to start the real contest. Boom! Qian Ming, at the 11th layer of true qi, released a tremendous surge of true qi from within his body, forming a towering 17 to 18 meters high aura of protective true qi flames around him. Swish! Qian Ming swiftly drew out a massive blood-red treasure blade. Blood Shadow Mad Blade. This was Qian Ming's strongest weapon, forged specifically for his most powerful Xian-level martial skill, the Blood Shadow Mad Blade. The Blood Shadow Mad Blade was 1 meter 70 in length and weighed a staggering 136 kilograms. With this blade, when Qian Ming executed the Xian-level lower-grade Blood Shadow Blade skills, the blade light was like blood, the killing intent overwhelming, and its momentum frighteningly impressive. Facing Yi Chen's strength, which was still an enigma, Qian Ming, just like in his fight against Bai Xiaodai, immediately brought out his weapon for a real battle with Yi Chun. Boom! After drawing the Blood Shadow Mad Blade, Qian Ming stomped on the Sky Ring, slashing forward with the treasure blade in his hand, sending a giant blade light of over 30 meters in length directly towards Yi Chun. This strike was so fierce it even tore the void apart. If it were not for the Sky Ring made from special yin-yang mysterious qi, the ground below would have been cleaved open by this blow. He's striking. Qian Ming is making his move. Qian Ming's blade skills are terrifying. Even Bai Xiaodai had to use a sword and execute martial skills to defend. How can Yi Chun remain barehanded? Everyone looked towards Yi Chun, who was about to be struck by the 30-meter-wide blade light, and cried out in shock when they saw that he was still unarmed. Previously, Yi Chun achieved 7 consecutive victories with his powerful martial skills alone, but now he was up against Qian Ming, a strong wielder of 11th layer true qi. Qian Ming's true qi realm was even higher than that of Yi Chun, and his martial skills had also reached the Shen level. Under such circumstances, how could Yi Chun possibly defend barehanded? As everyone held their breath and wondered how Yi Chun would block Qian Ming's earth-shattering strike, Yi Chun made his move. Boom! Yi Chun reached out into the void with a powerful grasp, and in an instant, from the trees dozens of meters away from the first sky ring on the martial arts plaza, leaves burst forth, shooting towards Yi Chun. Suddenly, all of these leaves floated around Yi Chun's body, and on each leaf shone a dazzling sword intent. As Qian Ming's tremendous blade light struck towards Yi Chun, the leaves floating around Yi Chun's body were like fierce torrents of rain, each glowing with piercing sword intents as they shot towards the massive blade light. This was the display of sword intents. This was none other than the Storm Rain sword intent, one of the 3 major sword intents Yi Chun had comprehended. Facing the 11th layer true qi strong opponent Qian Ming, Yi Chun used sword intent techniques for the first time in the Grand Clan competition. Boom! In an instant, the leaf blades controlled by Yi Chun's sword intents clashed with the over 30 meters long earth-shaking blade light that Qian Ming slashed down. As they clashed, the blood-red light on the blade light surged wildly, like the roaring shadow of a blood-mad blade, furiously cutting towards the group of swords. The leaf blades, governed by the Storm Rain sword intents, suddenly trembled and unleashed an endless series of clear sword cries, which even overpowered the roaring noise of the blade. In the end, the myriad leaf blades tore all the blade light to shreds in this bout, thoroughly repelling Qian Ming's attack. It even sent Qian Ming, who was wielding the blood shadow mad blade, flying 3 or 4 meters away. After that, the myriad leaf blades flew back in retreat and resuspended around Yi Chun's body, with the densely packed leaves, possibly numbering in the hundreds, hanging upside down like hundreds of sharp swords surrounding him. This strange scene left all the clan members watching the competition below the first heavens platform with their mouths agape. They had never seen such a magical sight before, controlling thousands of leaves for attack. These thousands of leaves, each one like a sharp sword, floating around Yi Chun's body. More so, they didn't sense any true qi fluctuations around Yi Chun's body. They were completely baffled as to how Yi Chun was controlling those leaves, which allowed ordinary leaves to withstand the powerful blade light slashes from Qian Ming. Could this be? The patriarchs of the 3 clans, looking at the leaf blades suspended around Yi Chun, exchanged glances, their eyes filled with disbelief. They had their presumptions but dared not voice them, because what they were thinking of was an event that had never happened within their 3 great families. However, just then, Bai Xiaodai, who was seated cross-legged and watching the battle on the second heavens platform, suddenly stood up and blurted out the 2 words the 3 clan leaders had suspected: sword intent. This is sword intent. Yi Chun has actually comprehended sword intent. Bai Xiaodai, a secret disciple of the 6th rank Peach Blossom Valley, was of course aware of sword intents. Furthermore, her own trump card, which she had not yet revealed, was related to sword intents. She had never imagined that among tens of thousands of sword cultivators, where it is rare for one to comprehend sword intents, it would emerge during the grand competition of the 3 clans, and on a young man about her own age. Bai Xiaodai had heard that Yi Chun was merely a disciple from an 8th rank sect, but his performance made her feel that even the genius disciples of a 6th rank great sect were far inferior compared to him. Bai Xiaodai, having suddenly stood up, was now brimming with immense fighting spirit. She couldn't wait to truly cross swords with Yi Chun. She believed that Yi Chun was strong enough to push her to use her full strength and to fight with all her heart. Sword intent. It's sword intent. As Bai Xiaodai shouted out the words, Qian Ming, who was battling with Yi Chun, also underwent a drastic change in complexion. He, too, from Taishan sect, a 6th rank great sect, had seen this legendary realm of swordsmanship cultivation, the control over all his swords, the realm of sword intents. Qian Ming had not expected Yi Chun to have kept such a profound technique hidden so deep, having achieved 7 consecutive victories without using this powerful method, and only revealing it now in their battle. Sword intent. It's really sword intent. The repeated exclamations from Bai Xiaodai and Qian Ming finally confirmed the 3 elders' suspicions. The 3 elders felt as though a huge surprise had descended from the heavens. They had hosted the grand competition among the clans facing the once-in-centuries opportunity of the ancestral land's opening. Seeing the 15-year-old genius Bai Xiaodai sweep away all competition and even defeat the incredibly strong 11th layer true Qi powerhouse Qian Ming had already filled them with immense joy. They had never expected another even more surprising dark horse, Yi Chun, to not be at all weaker than Bai Xiaodai. In fact, in the earlier rounds, Yi Chen's performance was even more outstanding than hers. Now, he had even brought out his hidden sword intents. Those who could comprehend sword intents were undoubtedly geniuses with exceptional potential, characters that even 6th-rank great sects would compete madly over. Now such a person had appeared directly among the 3 great families, among the younger generation of their clans. How could the 3 elders not be overjoyed? The 3 elders truly believed that with Yi Chun, Bai Xiaodai, Qian Ming, and the other formidable young generation, coupled with the grand opportunity of the ancestral land's opening, their clans were destined to prosper once more. They were sure to give birth to Spirit Sea realm powerhouses, and maybe even exceed that realm. The 15-year-old Yi Chun and Bai Xiaodai had given them such hope. Chapter 91, The Ultimate Battle. Xiao Tian and Lin Rin said that Yi Chun is now incredibly powerful, and can even defeat a true Qi level 10 warrior. It turns out his hidden move is sword intent. Yi Chun, at such a young age, has actually comprehended sword intent. No wonder Fairy Jia Luo, the number 1 warrior in the eastern region of the Heavenly Wind Kingdom, holds Yi Chun in such high regard. Among the 3 elders, Patriarch Yi of the Yi family where Yi Chun hailed from was the most thrilled. Before the great competition, when he heard from Yi Chen's parents that Yi Chen's strength was extraordinary, he was filled with anticipation for Yi Chun, whose performance in the first 2 rounds had continually surprised him. Now, the sword intent Yi Chun had displayed in the final stage of the 3-clan competition brought Patriarch Yi an even greater and unexpected joy. He had thought that Yi Chun had cultivated powerful martial skills, perhaps even learned a Shen-tier martial skill. But Patriarch Yi had never imagined that Yi Chun would actually grasp sword intent. This was indeed a pleasant surprise beyond his expectations. While the entire 3 great families, from the 3 elders to the clan members watching the match, were all astounded by Yi Chen's sword intent. Up in the sky arena, Qian Ming launched another attack on Yi Chun. Even though he knew Yi Chun had comprehended sword intent, Qian Ming was not going to concede easily. His true Qi realm was at level 11, and he had cultivated a set of Shen-tier martial skills. He would not rest until he had decisively beaten Yi Chun. Boom! This time, Qian Ming's feet stomped heavily onto the sky arena. His entire body, holding the blood shadow mad blade, soared into the air, bringing with it an unmatched blade light and a terrifying true Qi flame over 17 or 18 meters high, slashing towards Yi Chun again. Qian Ming was deploying the blood shadow blade skills in a frenzied, close-quarters combat attempt with Yi Chun. As Qian Ming rose with blade in hand, slashing down from the air, Yi Chun lightly touched the sky arena with the tip of his foot and also took to the air in a flash. At the same time, he fiercely pointed at Qian Ming, and the hundreds of circling sword intents made from leaves shot towards Qian Ming to meet his attack. On one side was Qian Ming, wielding the blood shadow mad blade and bringing about a ferocious true Qi flame with his slashes. On the other side were hundreds of sword intents formed from leaves, soaring through the sky to counter the onslaught. When these 2 forces collided, the explosion was immense. Above the first sky arena, violent true Qi swept through every direction, with blade lights and sword shadows everywhere. If not for the 3 elders taking action to protect the area around the fighters, this fearsome clash of sword intents against blood shadow blade skills would have utterly destroyed the surrounding terrain of the first sky arena. The battle between Yi Chun and Chen Ming at this moment was even more astonishing than the previous one between Chen Ming and Bai Xiaodai using their Shen Tier techniques. In the frenetic clash of blades and swords, Chen Ming's defensive true chi flame gradually diminished, whereas more of the hundreds of leaf-made swords confronting him were being slashed down. Clearly, neither of them could suppress the other with this move, and it was time to change tactics. At that moment, Chen Ming let out a roar. His body once again unleashed an unstoppable true chi storm. The true chi amidst the myriad blade lights turned a translucent red. Even the blood shadow mad blade in his hand turned a blood red instantly. Those from the three clans who had watched Chen Ming's earlier battle with Bai Xiaodai knew that he was about to use his strongest and final martial skill, the Shen Tier low-grade blade skill, Blood Shadow Blade skills. Its most powerful move, Mad Demon 13 Slash. Mad Demon 13 Slash, where all true chi is infused into the blade's attacks. Without madness, there is no survival. It is a desperate, ultimate assault. Success means victory, failure means defeat. With this blade skill, Chen Ming had even defeated countless true chi level 11 warriors in the Taishan sect. He had even overcome many who had not successfully cultivated powerful martial skills among those at true chi level 12. It was only Bai Xiaodai who, in the end, had withstood this move. Chen Ming didn't believe that Yi Chun, whose sword intent was 4 small levels lower in true chi realm, could withstand his Mad Demon 13 Slash. As everyone watched the aggression of Chen Ming's Mad Demon 13 Slash, tensions rose. Even Bai Xiaodai on the second sky arena watched Yi Chun without blinking. I was able to defeat Chen Ming with my true chi level 11 realm, which is no less than his and Shen Tier martial skill. Yi Chun is only at true chi level 7. His internal cultivation's true chi is weaker than Chen Ming's, and even if his external skill sword intent is incredibly powerful, it may not hold up against Chen Ming's frenzied outbreak. Is he going to use that sword intent to block this Mad Demon 13 Slash? As Bai Xiaodai pondered this question, Chen Ming, together with his blood shadow mad blade, suddenly disappeared from where he was standing. The next moment, a figure like a blood shadow beast burst forth in front of Yi Chun. This figure, wielding the immense red true chi and accompanied by the blood-red blade light, pounced and furiously slashed towards Yi Chun. The blade light was like a shadow, chaotically unending, Mad Demon 13 Slash. An absolute eruption of true chi made Chen Ming seem unstoppable. It was a 13-strike combo, each slash more ferocious than the last, each slash gaining momentum in this battle move. Just as Chen Ming unleashed his most powerful attack, Yi Chun changed his move as well. He reached into the void with his left hand, and in an instant, hundreds more leaves became swords of leaves, shooting towards Chen Ming with an unstoppable storm of sword intent. At the same time, Yi Chen's right hand did not stop. He reached into the void again, and this time, immense true chi burst forth from his hand. This true chi astonishingly turned into numerous swords of true chi, with purple lightning surging ceaselessly upon them. These purple lightning true chi swords also numbered more than 100. This, unexpectedly, was another kind of sword intent, the purple lightning sword intent, manipulating true chi, transforming it into a sword for attack. Yi Chun actually displayed 2 major sword intents at the same time. Left hand torrential rain sword intent. Right hand purple lightning sword intent. At Chen Ming's most explosive moment, Yi Chun also brought his sword intent technique to the second layer. Boom! As the sword intent of falling leaves like torrential rain smashed down on the frenzied Chen Ming, the purple lightning true chi sword formed in his right hand also madly struck towards Chen Ming. The combination of the torrential rain sword and the purple lightning true chi sword, under the control of the 2 great sword intents, had already surpassed 1,000 blades, turning the entire sky above the first heavenly arena into a world of swords. In an instant, Chen Ming was completely submerged in the light of swords. Boom! 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 Inside the sword light, Chen Ming continued his Mad Demon 13 Slash without cease. Outside the sword light, the pervasive sword intents continued their unrelenting assault. Such a terrifying sight had completely dumbfounded all the clanspeople from the 3 tribes. They couldn't imagine that Yi-chan still had the strength to spare, that at the very end, he could still bring forth even more powerful swords of true qi. The second sword intent. This is the second sword intent. Even Bai Xiaodai, with her ever-calm, delicate face, revealed an expression of disbelief. In the midst of countless shocked onlookers, amid Bai Xiaodia's incredulous expression, after dozens of breaths of the frenzied assault by the sword light, Qian Ming's roaring had become increasingly subdued, and in the end, it turned into cries of astonishment. Indeed, Qian Ming could no longer withstand Yi Chen's attacks, and at this moment, of the countless swords of leaves and true qi that were cutting down towards Qian Ming in the first heavenly arena, there were still 600 to 700 blades left. These remaining sword intent moves were enough to completely defeat or even kill Qian Ming. In the end, Qian Ming had no choice but to admit defeat, complete defeat. When Qian Ming's voice of surrender rang out, Yi-chan waved his hand grandly, and all the sword light in the sky swirled about, revealing Qian Ming's figure, his clothes somewhat tattered. Qian Ming had already turned pale, clearly suffering a great loss of true qi in this battle and no longer able to resist. In contrast, Yi-chan didn't show the slightest bit of strain. He was still as unaffected as before the contest began. Qian Ming's attacks hadn't touched him at all. With a grand gesture from Yi-chan, the sword light that had taken flight from its attack on Qian Ming, the countless leaf swords now drifted to the ground, and the swords of true qi reverted back to true qi, flying back into Yi-chan's body. With his move, he conjured the sword light that filled the sky. Withdrawing his move, the sword light dissipated in an instant, turning into nothingness. Yi-chen's smooth actions, contrasted against the pale-faced Qian Ming, clearly distinguished the superior from the inferior. Qian Ming is defeated. Yi-chen wins. This 8th round of the top 10 ranking battle finally came to a close, under the watchful eyes of the multitude. All the clanspeople from the 3 tribes, along with the 3 great chieftains, watched Yi-chan on the first heavenly arena, and there was a moment of silence, followed by a wave of frenzied cheering that swept across the entire 1,000-yard arena, across the entire martial arts square of the 3 tribes. Yi-chan won. Another 8 consecutive victories. A supreme powerhouse. This is simply the birth of a supreme powerhouse. It's unimaginable. Yi-chan at the 7th layer of true qi actually defeated Qian Ming at the 11th layer of true qi. And we have yet to see Yi-chan push to his limit. Both contestants with 8 consecutive victories have emerged. Yi-chan and Bai Xiaodai, both 15, both with 8 consecutive wins. In the 9th round, they will face off. Who will be the number 1 among the top 10? Which of these 2 formidable youths? All eyes were then focused on Yi-chan on the first heavenly arena, and also simultaneously on Bai Xiaodai on the second heavenly arena. In the midst of the frenzied cheering, Bai Xiaodai also looked towards Yi-chan. For the last battle, it seems, I must bring out my true strength. Boom! With a light tap of Bai Xiaodia's snow-white boots, she landed directly on the first heavenly arena, right beside Yi-chan. Chapter 92. The Wind Blows the Snow. When Bai Xiaodai landed on the first sky arena, right next to Yi-chan, everyone could see her soaring fighting spirit. Clearly, Yi-chen's strength had prompted the unbeaten genius girl, Bai Xiaodai, to long for a battle with him. The grand tournament of the 3 clans, the ultimate encounter of the strongest, has arrived. Is it chance, or is it fate? The battle of the strongest, the imminent top 10 ranking battle of the strongest, will decide who is the number 1 of the younger generation in our 3 major families. Both with 8 consecutive victories, who will fall in this final fight, and who will create the true number 1 record of 9 consecutive wins, an undefeated record in the top 10 ranking battle? The members of the 3 clans all looked up at Yi-chan on the first sky arena, and then at Bai Xiaodai. At this moment, Patriarch Bai from among the 3 major families also looked up toward the sky arena above. He announced loudly, "Rest and adjust your breath for the time it takes to drink a cup of tea, and then the final round of the top 10 ranking battle will begin." After saying this, he specially announced, for the final round of the top 10 ranking battle, the other 4 pairs will compete first, and the battle for first place between Yi-chan and Bai Xiaodai will take place after the other 4 bouts have finished. The battle for first place, to be witnessed by all our clan members together. Patriarch Bai's words excited everyone from the 3 clans. At this time, both Yichun and Bai Xiaodai were at 8 wins and no losses, and only these 2 were qualified to vie for first place. A step behind them was Qian Ming, with 6 wins and 2 losses, having already lost to both Yichun and Bai Xiaodai. Even if one of Yichun or Bai Xiaodai were to lose, according to the record of direct encounters, Qian Ming could only rank 3rd, which meant he could not affect the overall situation in the slightest. Thus, almost all the attention was now on Yichun and Bai Xiaodai. Patriarch Bai's arrangement was exactly what all the clan members wished for. They also preferred to watch this final battle without any distractions, after all other contests had concluded, with all their hearts and minds focused. Yichun, recover your true qi. I hope in this final matchup, you can force me into my strongest state, and I can do the same for you. Let's have a match to determine the true number 1. Bai Xiaodai looked at Yichun with shining eyes as she spoke. Looking at the girl in front of him, dressed in bright yellow clothes, with long hair tied into a ponytail that fell straight to her waist, appearing remarkably dauntless, Yichun nodded his head. From Bai Xiaodai, he sensed an unyielding belief. Yichun knew his upcoming battle with Bai Xiaodai was likely to be a tough one. After smiling and nodding at Bai Xiaodai, Yichun sat down cross-legged on the first sky arena to recover his true qi, and Bai Xiaodai, sitting not far from Yichun, also began to meditate quietly. After the time it takes to drink a cup of tea had passed, the 9th round of ranking battles officially commenced on the other 4 sky arenas. The competing pairs, whose rankings were already fixed and whose victories or defeats could no longer change, quickly determined the winners and losers. Even those whose rankings could still change slightly finished their battles swiftly. Once ranks 3 to 10 were all clear, the 8 contestants from the top 10 descended beneath the sky arena and all turned their gaze toward the first sky arena in the middle. Even those who were part of the top 10 battles were deeply interested in the battle between Yichun and Bai Xiaodai. Boom! As everyone landed beneath the sky arena, and all the clan members looked forward in anticipation to the final battle between Yichun and Bai Xiaodai. Yichun and Bai Xiaodai stood up from their meditation at the same time. As they stood, a thunderous rumbling noise came, and the other 4 sky arenas converged toward the first sky arena. Finally, all the sky arenas joined together to form a vast arena hundreds of feet in circumference, a unique and massive sky arena. This was the arena for Yichun and Bai Xiaodai's battle for number 1, the arena for the battle for first place. Yichun, Bai Xiaodai. The 2 on the sky arena looked at each other, as true qi began to surge around both of them. They both awaited the start of the battle. When Patriarch Bai formally announced the beginning of the last battle, both Yichun and Bai Xiaodai flew up into the air, and at the same time, their immense true qi swept out. Shoo! 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 Instantly, more than 500 swords of true qi materialized around Yichun. Similarly, Bai Xiaodai was not a step behind. With a swoosh, she drew out her snow-white treasured sword, and its gleaming blade even emitted a clear and resonant sword cry. Then, almost simultaneously, the attacks from Yichun and Bai Xiaodai clashed in midair. Yichun did not stand still as he had against Qian Ming, but carried the sky full of swords of true qi, hurling himself fiercely at Bai Xiaodai. And Bai Xiaodai, with a light cry, brandished her snow-white treasured sword, cutting through endless sword light to block the swords of true qi that Yichun had launched at her. Sword technique against sword technique. On one side was Bai Xiaodai, at the 11th layer of true qi, wielding a Shen-class sword technique, and on the other was Yichun at the 7th layer of true qi but displaying sword intents. The 2 final powerhouses of the Great Clan Tournament fought indecisively in the sky, filling the entire air with unceasing sword clangs and flashes of light everywhere. This head-on clash continued for hundreds of exchanges, with both parties seemingly observing the other's weaknesses and seeking flaws in their techniques. When neither could find a weakness through these moves, the 2 combatants in the sky separated, and more powerful attacks followed one after another. Chapter 93. Boom! With a ding from her hand, Bai Xiaodia's snow-white treasured sword split into two, transforming into a pair of narrow swords. Yi Chun, bring out your second sword intent. With my dual swords, your first sword intent won't stand a chance. Bai Xiaodai, wielding twin swords, stood on the sky arena and said to Yi Chun, twin swords. Bai Xiaodai has actually mastered the dual swords. During her fierce battle with Qian Ming, she didn't use her twin sword technique. Now she's revealing this hidden move. Looks like she came prepared, knowing how formidable Yi Chen's sword intent is. Below the sky arena, the clan members of the three tribes were invigorated at the sight of Bai Xiaodai holding the twin swords. Clearly, Bai Xiaodai was about to use a move she had never shown before. She still had energy to spare. She didn't even use her full strength to defeat me. Bai Xiaodai and Yi Chun are indeed stronger than me. They're more deserving of first place than I am. Qian Ming, standing below the arena, watched Bai Xiaodai, who held twin swords and challenged Yi Chun, with a complex and indescribable expression. Dual swords. Against my two major sword intents? Very well. Yi Chun smiled lightly as he watched Bai Xiaodai, who held the twin swords and called out to him. You've revealed your new trump card, but I still have many more. I hope you can force them all out. Yi Chen's fighting spirit surged as he grasped at the air with both hands. The Storm Rain Sword intent and Purple Lightning Sword intent, which he had previously used in battle against Qian Ming, spread out over dozens of yards. In an instant, over 1,000 swords of true qi formed again. Fight! Yi Chen's wind movement skills suddenly activated, and like a whistling cyclone, he took with him over 1,000 swords of true qi and charged towards Bai Xiaodai, wielding her twin swords, covering the sky in his attack. Instant flash, twin sword slash. Spotting Yi Chen's attack, Bai Xiaodia's eyes lit up, eager to test whether her twin sword slash was superior or inferior to Yi Chen's two major sword intents. With a whoosh, Bai Xiaodia's movement technique activated, and she disappeared from her standing position. Then, two astonishing beams of sword light burst forth amidst the myriad swords of true qi. Each of these astonishing beams of sword light was over 20 meters tall, and from every part of the sword light, a chilling intent to kill emerged. As the sword light danced, it instantly clashed with Yi Chen's sky-covering swords of true qi. This was the light-splitting annihilation sword technique that Bai Xiaodai had cultivated, a low-grade Shen-level martial skill. This set of martial skills required a vast amount of true qi as support. With the two swords stimulating simultaneously, it could carry the vast true qi along with the annihilation light-splitting, extending to over 20 meters in length. These huge beams of annihilating sword light, each flowing with the moves of light-splitting annihilation sword, could cut a person anywhere along the 20 meters of true qi. Once, while practicing this move, Bai Xiaodai had even split a small mountain in two with her swords. And in a dense forest, when the annihilation light-splitting swirled, every inch of large trees was sliced and shattered. Yi Chen's myriad swords were numerous, though small in size. Bai Xiaodia's twin sword light-splitting move was few in number, but the sword light surged with endless might. The two types of sword techniques clashed directly, and the dense, clashing sounds of sword light echoed in all directions. Watching the vast sky arena above, filled with thousands of swords of true qi, and seeing the ascending beams of annihilating sword light reaching 20 or 30 meters into the sky, along with the resonating sounds of sword killings, the clansmen spectating below the arena held their breath. Strong. Too powerful. This is the competition among martial artists. This is the battle of geniuses. These are the two strongest young masters of our three great families. Everyone watched the two youths on the sky-high platform, looking at Yi Chun and Bai Xiaodai, who at just 15 years old, possessed such formidable battle strength, and pride surged in their hearts. This was the strongest of the younger generation in their clans. Such strength, let alone in Qingyang City, even if placed in a great sect, it wouldn't be inferior to other genius youths. With such young geniuses, all members of the three families had enough reason to feel proud. In the crowd, Yi Chen's parents, the little maid Tower, as well as Bai Xiaodia's parents and her uncles were also extremely excited. They felt immensely proud that Yi Chen and Bai Xiaodai, the people they cared for the most, remained overwhelmingly powerful in the battle for the top 10. When the two overwhelming sword chi lights unleashed by Bai Xiaodai swept through the sky filled with Yi Chen's swords of true chi, Bai Xiaodia's figure reappeared in the sky. Nobody could discern the winner of their exchange, but Bai Xiaodia's attack had once again changed. Both sword intents, truly extraordinary. If my light-splitting annihilation sword still can't defeat you, but Yi Chen, if you have sword intent, so do I. Try this, the flying snow sword intent that I comprehended in the secret realm of Endless Snow Mountain in Peach Blossom Valley. As Bai Xiaodai spoke, the snow-white twin swords in her hands suddenly vanished. Then, with a gentle spread of her fair hands in the sky, the 20-plus meter-tall protective true chi flame around her body burst forth explosively. Strands of true chi were released and, at the moment of explosion, all transformed into snowflakes. These snowflakes, falling from the sky, each contained a sword chi within. These snowflakes did not drift down slowly like normal ones, but rather, they moved even faster than Bai Xiaodia's previous movement technique. Snowflake by snowflake, they spread across hundreds of feet in the area, completely covering the entire sky-high platform. As the snowflakes danced, not only did a vast sword intent pervade the air, but even the whole sky turned bone-chillingly cold. Flying snow sword intent. This was none other than the incredibly strong sword intent that Bai Xiaodai controlled, the flying snow sword intent. As these snowflakes whirled at high speed, the sky-filled swords of true chi unleashed by Yi Chen were all struck down by the swirling snowflakes, reverting back into true chi. Clearly, the flying snow sword intent that Bai Xiaodai had comprehended, which was likely grasped from a Shen-level martial art, was even stronger than Yi Chen's storm rain sword intent and purple lightning sword intent. Flying snow sword intent? Then let's see whether your flying snow sword intent is stronger or my wind sword intent is stronger. With a large sweep of his hand, the true chi struck down by the swirling snowflakes shook violently. In the midst of this violent trembling and amidst the flying snow, terrifying wind blade swords suddenly materialized, creating a fierce wind of sword chi right in the midst of the falling snow. This was indeed the third and most powerful sword intent that Yi Chen wielded, the wind sword intent. After Bai Xiaodai had unleashed her flying snow sword intent, Yi Chen also brought out his wind sword intent. The wind blows, snow drifts. The two sword intents, spreading across hundreds of feet, displayed their unrestrained beauty on this sky-high platform. Chapter 94, Number 1. The situation in the sky arena was changing in the blink of an eye, something that the clansmen from the three tribes had never anticipated. Just a moment ago, they were shocked by Yi Chen's omnipresent sword of true chi and by Xiaodia's soaring two mighty annihilation sword lights. The next moment, unexpectedly, both of them had unleashed a new kind of sword intent. When they heard Bai Xiaodai say that her light-splitting annihilation sword was no match for Yi Chen's two great sword intents, the clansmen thought Bai Xiaodai would admit defeat. But in the very next instant, she used her flying snow sword intent, which shattered Yi Chen's omnipresent sword of true chi. The sword intent snowflakes that filled hundreds of meters around and covered the entire sky arena stunned all the clansmen. And even the three elder chieftains couldn't help but scream in shock. Another sword intent. Another young one who has mastered sword intent. In our three tribes, two geniuses who have mastered sword intents have actually emerged. Even Bai Xiaodia's grandfather, the Bai family elder chieftain, got so excited that his beard trembled. Even he had no idea that Bai Xiaodai had cultivated such a powerful sword intent. It was clearly Bai Xiaodia's trump card. While they were still screaming in disbelief, witnessing Bai Xiaodia's flying snow sword intent scattering Yi Chen's sword of true chi, Yi Chen unveiled his third type of sword intent, wind sword intent, bringing their screams to an abrupt halt. After Bai Xiaodai had continuously executed her dual sword moves and flying snow sword intent, could Yi Chen still have a countermeasure? Seeing the fierce winds of sword chi amid the flying snow and watching Yi Chen unleash his third type of sword intent, The three elder chieftains no longer knew how to express their emotions. Their astonishment had become numb. They could no longer fathom what Yi-chun could do in the sky arena. What is the limit? How far is the limit? Facing Yi-chun, whose methods were endless, each more formidable than the last, they had no idea where his limits might lie. Profound grade technique, dual sword light-splitting annihilation, and the flying snow sword intent. Leap attacks 40 or 50 meters high, profound grade techniques, and an ever-stronger series of sword intents. Qian Ming, who ranked third among the top 10 in the competition, looked at by Xiao Dai, who leaped through the sky deploying her omnipresent sword intent snowflakes, and at Yi-chun, who embodied the fierce sword qi of the wind, and could only smile bitterly to himself. These two youths, even younger than him, had given him too many shocks. After this exploration of the ancestral secret realm ends, when I return to the Taishin sect, I must go into secluded cultivation, and I won't emerge until I can withstand both of their strengths. Qian Ming had set a goal for himself, a goal to surpass these two youths. True powerhouses also sparked in him a desire to constantly cultivate and grow stronger. The tens of thousands of tribespeople watching this battle of ever-surging techniques in the arena all had myriad thoughts. At this moment, Bai Xiaodia's flying snow sword intent and Yi Chen's wind sword intent on the sky arena had directly clashed with each other. The sword intent snowflakes, filling hundreds of meters around and covering the entire sky arena, collided with the equally pervasive, fierce sword winds. Both mighty sword intents, each stemming from the realization gained through profound grade martial arts, clashed utterly against each other. Flying snow, shattering everything. Howling winds, sweeping across all directions. When Bai Xiaodai, having unleashed her strongest card, saw that Yi-chun had moves to counter, she didn't feel horror or despair, only a burning desire to fight with full gusto. Yi-chun had indeed not disappointed her. He indeed had countermeasures even when she brought out her strongest move. Yi-chun, let me truly unleash my flying snow sword intent. With her fighting spirit ablaze, Bai Xiaodai pointed through the flying snow, and all the swirling snowflakes and endless sword lights began to flow together, her immense sword technique unfolding amid the snow. Feeling Bai Xiaodia's surge of final battle intent, Yi Chen's blood also heated with excitement. Wind sword intent. I've never fully unleashed it, because before, I never completely mastered the wind sword skills that complement it. But now, I've fully comprehended all 9 moves of wind sword skills. This time, let all 9 moves of the wind sword skills be fully displayed. Yi-chun reached out, and all the moves of wind sword skills he had grasped were infused into the wind sword intent. In an instant, the winds of sword qi, the endless swords of wind blades, surged with waves of wind power, the atmosphere of wind burgeoning forth. Wind sword skills first move, Hurricane Frenzy. Wind blades like massive hurricanes, violently sweeping away the snowflakes in the sky. Wind sword skills second move, 13 wind strips. The swords of varied weight causing the snowflakes to continuously tremble. Wind sword skills third move, Wind Spiral Kill, and fourth move, Wind Strangle Kill. Even more so, within the entire world, terrifying storms of Spiral Kill and Strangle Kill whipped up. In the end, as all 9 moves of Yi Chen's wind sword skills were instilled into the swords of wind blades swirling throughout the sky, the whole sky had become an ocean of storms, an ocean of swords of wind blades. Wind blows, snow falls. Yi-chun had displayed his strongest sword intent, and Bai Xiaodai had shown her strongest sword intent. One moment the hurricane overwhelmed the snowflakes. The next, snowflakes surged, wrapping the entire storm within it. The entire sky was now completely embroiled in a competition of these 2 great sword intents. No one knew who would come out on top between Yi-chun and Bai Xiaodai in the end. Chapter 95. Come on. All my true qi is at stake in this final showdown. Bai Xiaodai, facing the 2 great sword intents of the blizzard and flying snow, harbored the thought of making her last stand. Come on. Even if it's the last stand, my true qi, and my Gang Yuan true qi, release it all. At the same time this thought arose in Bai Xiaodai, Yi Chun, as if sensing it, also had this notion flare up. Both had competed to the end, to the strongest extent possible, and whoever would take first place, they would both be utterly convinced. So, with nothing left to reserve, they went all out in battle. In the midst of the storm and flying snow, Yi Chun and Bai Xiaodai, hundreds of feet apart, exchanged a glance and instantly understood each other's thoughts. Then, boom, 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 both of them burst into endless radiance. Around Bai Xiaodai was the boundlessly vast Cyan smoke like heaven and earth true qi. Although Yi Chen's heaven and earth true qi wasn't as vast as Bai Xiaodia's, within his Cyan true qi, there flashed a silver light even more dazzling than the heaven and earth true qi. It was the Gang Yuan true qi unique to his cultivation of the primordial star scripture, Gang Yuan mantra, even more powerful than the heaven and earth true qi. After months of arduous cultivation, Yi Chen's Gang Yuan true qi had already reached 2 of the 7 true qi vortices in quantity. And at this moment, Yi Chun released all this Gang Yuan true qi. Boom! 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 In the finale of their full power, the range of the flying snow controlled by Xiaodai once again expanded, and even the killing force on the snowflakes doubled compared to before, furiously bombing towards Yi Chen's wind blade sword. Yi Chun was not the least bit behind Bai Xiaodai, and with the infusion of the Gang Yuan true qi, the myriad wind blade swords in the sky underwent a new transformation. The silver wind blade swords, transformed by the Gang Yuan true qi, even ground away a large swath of the flying snow sword intent that had been clashing against them. Bombarding crash, coiling annihilate, the 2 profound grade sword intents were battling to the very end. This showdown made the sky arena spanning hundreds of feet around completely obscured. Even the silhouettes of Yi Chun and Bai Xiaodai were blurred within the fight. Only the winds in the sky could be seen swirling, and the snowflakes falling. The clansmen of the 3 families all looked up at the sky arena, watching the storm and the flying snow in the sky. They knew that the moment to decide the victor was almost upon them, as everyone held their breath in anticipation. After half an incense stick's time had passed in this intense battle, in the sky, one of the 2 clashing sword intents finally suppressed the other. Everyone saw that in the sky arena, the Cyan flying snow and the wind blade swords were both depleting in the fight, but the silver wind blade swords were becoming distinctly visible within the continuously diminishing sword intent true qi. These were undoubtedly the wind blade swords formed from the Gang Yuan true qi obtained by Yi Chun from his cultivation of the primordial star scripture. The wind blade swords, formed by the Gang Yuan true qi with the enhancement of the wind sword intent, were something that Bai Xiaodia's flying snow could not eradicate, and in this final decisive battle, it finally showed its strength. The Gang Yuan true qi, unique and far stronger than heaven and earth true qi, finally revealed its power at this moment. Boom! 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 In the end, when these hundreds of silver wind blade swords swept away most of the flying snow, Bai Xiaodia's sigh finally spread through the air. I've lost. Yi Chun, you are the first. Bai Xiaodai withdrew the last of her flying snow true qi, revealing her figure. Looking at the shining silver wind blade swords, her eyes were filled with astonishment. Having battled against the silver wind blade swords for a long time, even when she summoned countless sword intents of flying snow but still couldn't break them, Bai Xiaodai knew she was defeated. She understood that Yi Chun cultivated a kind of breath far more powerful than the heaven and earth true qi she controlled. This white breath she had never seen before. Bai Xiaodai knew that perhaps only after stepping into the spirit sea realm and cultivating the true qi spiritual fluid could she possibly subdue this breath. Right now, she couldn't do it. Hearing Bai Xiaodai concede defeat, Yi Chun also gave a slight tremor in his qi si, and the hundreds of silver wind blade swords immediately transformed back into Gang Yuan true qi and the remaining heaven and earth true qi, flying back into his qi si. He had finally won. Finally, he'd reached the end. Yi Chun looked at the sky arena and Bai Xiaodai, his heart filled with respect for her. Bai Xiaodai, at only 15 years of age, proved so powerful that she could be considered the second strongest girl Yi Chun had ever seen. Aside from Jiang Yao, Yi Chun had never come across such a talented girl. This battle was also incredibly tough for Yi Chun. He even pulled out all the stops and used every technique he had to defeat Bai Xiaodai. If Bai Xiaodai had had one or two more tricks up her sleeve, he might have been the one to lose.
Heffen is vast, ers is vast.
Genius is boundless. If Bai Xiaodai can fight me to this point, not to mention the other sect geniuses, and those strong contenders of the Taishan sect who will participate in the true disciple selection with their true qi at the 12th level. Those chosen by a 6th-rank great sect to participate in the true disciple selection must have some powerful techniques up their sleeves. It's simply impossible for them not to. I must continue to strengthen my abilities. Although he was somewhat pleased at having secured the number 1 spot in the top 10 ranking battle, Yi Chun was not going to become complacent. Not to mention others, he was still far from that girl, Jiang Yao, who held such great expectations for him and liked him so much. Jiang Yao was capable of defeating mid-stage Spirit Sea Realm experts with ease. Let alone mid-stage of the Spirit Sea Realm, Yi Chun couldn't even beat the early-stage Spirit Sea Realm experts. Thinking of Jiang Yao, of that incomparably beautiful girl, and thinking of their pact in Taishan 3 months from now, Yi Chun was filled with fighting spirit. This time, for coming in first in the 3-clan competition, he would receive the special reward, the Ancestral Ground secret map, and the highest reward, Ancestral Blood, granting him the opportunity to search for great fortunes within the Ancestral Land secret realm that the family opened once every few hundred years. There were still over 3 months left. He had time to further enhance his strength and add a few more cards to his arsenal. A few more trump cards. Yi Chun was confident that in over 3 months, at the true disciple selection of the Taishan sect, he would not disappoint Fairy Jialuo, Jiang Yao's master, and would make Jiang Yao, the girl who liked him, proud and honored. Jiang Yao, wait for me, Yi Chun whispered to himself in his heart. Atop the sky arena, when the final battle between Yi Chun and Bai Xiaodai ended with Yi Chun's victory, there was a moment of silence among the audience members of the 3 clans below before they erupted into frenzied cheers. They had welcomed their young generation's top 10, welcomed their youngest and number 1. This 3-clan competition has concluded. The top 10 ranking is now firmly set. Qian Yuan, 10th. Qian Feng, 9th. Bai Xiaofei, 8th. Bai Xiaoning, 7th. Bai Wuxuan, 6th. Yi Shui, 5th. Qian Feng, 4th. Qian Ming, 3rd. Bai Xiaodai, 2nd. And the number 1 of the 3-clan competition, the strongest among the young generation, is Yi Chun. Patriarch Bai announced the final results of the 3-clan competition loudly, his voice echoing throughout the entire martial arts plaza of the 3 clans. Every time Patriarch Bai mentioned a name, all eyes turned to that person, and when he finally spoke Yi Chun's name, all eyes were fixed on Yi Chun. As the first-placed victor, Yi Chun deserved the respect of everyone's gaze. In those gazes were Yi Chun's father, Yi Xiaotian, and his mother, Lin Rin's joyful eyes, as well as the excitement in the young girl Tower's eyes. At that moment, the patriarch of the Chen family and the patriarch of the Yi family also proclaimed loudly, "The 3-clan competition is formally over. In 3 days, all top 30 competitors from the competition will enter the Ancestral Land, venturing into the Ancestral Land secret realm. Now, the top 10 of the family, follow me to the Ancestral Shrine to receive your rewards, to claim your Ancestral Ground secret maps." At last, the 3 patriarchs looked towards Yi Chun. Yi Chun, the highest reward for you, Ancestral Blood, is also waiting in the Ancestral Shrine. Soon, you will see it. Ancestral Ground secret map. Ancestral Blood. At the mention of these 2 terms, Yi Chun and the other top 10 competitors were all greatly moved. They had fought so long in the 3-clan competition, and at last, they would receive their rewards. What will the Ancestral Ground secret map be like? And the highest reward, Ancestral Blood. The patriarchs mentioned it's the lifeblood left by the great being who established the Ancestral Land, the most precious reward of the entire land. What will it be like? Following behind the 3 patriarchs, amid the throng of countless clanspeople, Yi Chun, along with the other top 10 winners, walked towards the Ancestral Shrine, contemplating as he went. Chapter 96 D. Kong's Blood. The three-family ancestral shrine is a huge shrine hall that occupies 7 or 8 acres of land. After walking for nearly half an hour, Patriarch Bai, Patriarch Yi, Patriarch Qian, and Yi Chen's group arrived outside the ancestral shrine. "The top 10 competitors, follow me into the ancestral shrine," said Patriarch Bai to the crowd behind him before stepping into the shrine with the other 2 patriarchs. After exchanging a look, Yi Chen, Bai Xiaodai, and the other top competitors walked into the ancestral shrine under the gaze of countless clan members. Since childhood, Yi Chen had entered the ancestral shrine many times during family rituals. It had been 3 years since he'd been home and seen the shrine, which remained unchanged. Unlike other families that enshrined many ancestral tablets in their shrines, the main hall of the Yi, Bai, and Chen families only contained 3 statues. These 3 statues, identical to the 3 outside the ancestral land, were the effigies of the first-generation ancestors of the Yi, Bai, and Chen families. Although their appearances were different, all 3 statues were dressed as hunters. Yi Chen remembered his parents mentioning that the 3 ancestors of their families had fled to Wanya Mountain outside Qingyang City, surviving a great disaster. They lived as hunters. They later married, had children, and as they gradually established a foothold in Qingyang City, the 3 great Yi, Bai, and Chen families came into existence. "Let us first pay respects to our ancestors' statues." As Yi Chen and the other 9 reverently gazed at the statues, the 3 patriarchs took the lead in kneeling before the images. The 10 hurried to follow suit, kneeling down as well. Only after bowing 3 times did the patriarchs rise to their feet, followed by Yi Chen and the others. "You 10 have performed exceptionally well in this competition between the 3 clans. It can be said that this is the best performance by our clans in years," said Patriarch Bai of the Bai family, scanning the faces of the 10 with a smile. As he spoke, Patriarch Bai's gaze especially rested on Yi Chen and Bai Xiaodai. "Yi Chen, Xiaodai, the 2 of you have brought a pleasant surprise to us old fellows. Your strength represents the strongest recorded at the age of 15 in the annals of our 3 clans." Patriarch Yi and Patriarch Qian also nodded with a smile. "Even if the ancestral land's opening had not occurred, with your rate of cultivation, you 2 would have a great chance of reaching the Spirit Sea realm in the future. This time, coinciding with the opening of the ancestral land for the first time in over 300 years. Who knows, you might even encounter great fortunes. It seems that the day of resurgence for our 3 great families is truly upon us." Hearing the joy in the voice of the 3 patriarchs, Yi Chen and Bai Xiaodai exchanged a glance, a hint of a smile in their eyes. Being praised in person by the 3 most prestigious patriarchs within the most significant family shrine, both of them felt incredibly happy as members of the clan. The patriarchs then turned their attention to the other 8 among the top 10, including Chen Ming and Yi Shui. "The 8 of you also performed quite well. During your time in the ancestral land, strive to seize the great fortune and take your strength to the next level." Upon hearing the hopeful words of the patriarchs, Chen Ming and the others solemnly responded, "Yes, Patriarch, we will surely seize this great opportunity afforded by the opening of the ancestral land." The opening of the ancestral land, an event that comes once in several hundred years, filled everyone with anticipation for the great fortunes it promised. "Good, in 3 days' time, the day to enter the ancestral land will arrive. We old men won't delay your preparation any further. Now, let us begin to distribute the rewards for this contest," said the patriarchs. The top 10 of the competition between the 3 clans would each receive a special reward, an ancestral ground secret map. Upon hearing the patriarch's words, all 10 turned their eyes towards Patriarch Bai. He was now walking towards a corner of the ancestral shrine, evidently to fetch something. It was clear he was going to retrieve the ancestral ground secret maps. Boom! Upon reaching the corner, behind the 3 ancestor statues and the deepest part of the shrine, light flickered from Patriarch Bai's hand as he suddenly reached towards the wall. A booming sound echoed as 10 brilliant beams of light flew from the wall into the hands of Patriarch Bai. These 10 beams of light, slender and shining, each more vivid than the last. The ancestral ground secret maps. Could these 10 beams of light be the ancestral ground secret maps, detailing important treasure areas of the ancestral land? Yi-chan and the others all looked towards the 10 beams of light in Patriarch Bai's hands. Patriarch Bai looked down to inspect the beams, and then raised his head, his gaze sweeping over the faces of Yi-chan and the rest. These 10 beams of light are the 10 ancestral ground secret maps. Based on your performance in the competition, each map varies in value. The better your performance, the more precious the map, explained the Patriarch. Now, receive your ancestral ground secret maps. As Patriarch Bai spoke, he pointed with his finger, and the 10 beams of light shot toward Yi-chan and his peers. Among the 10 beams, the brightest and most dazzling shot straight towards Yi-chan. The winner of the 3-clan competition, Yi-chan, would receive the most precious ancestral ground secret map. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. After 10 beams of light had landed in the hands of Yi-chan and the others, they all looked toward the light in their palms. All they could see within the light were tiny golden grains flowing, but they couldn't make out what it was exactly. Drop your lifeblood into the light, and the secret map will reveal itself to you. This secret map shall belong exclusively to you. Patriarch Ye's voice reached the ears of all 10 individuals. Drop in lifeblood? Unlock the secret map? The thought crossed the minds of the 10 from Yi-chan's group. Each person lightly tapped their finger on the light in their hand, and a drop of lifeblood flew out, heading towards the flowing golden light with the golden grains. The moment their lifeblood entered the golden light, the 10 beams of light in their hands vibrated intensely and flew into their minds. In an instant, vast images appeared within their minds. What is this? Yi-chan looked at the image that manifested in his mind and saw a huge valley. In the vast valley stood 18 30-meter-tall golden monkey statues, towering majestically. A mysterious valley with golden monkey statues. This was the region revealed by Yi-chan's ancestral ground secret map. Not just Yi-chan, but the other 9 individuals as well. Bai Xiaodia's mind revealed a valley, though hers was somewhat smaller than Yi-chen's, containing 9 20-meter-tall golden monkey statues. In Chen Ming's mind, a massive golden waterfall appeared. And for Yi-chen's cousin, Yi Shui, her mental image was of a dense forest grown with giant trees. The top 10 of the 3-clan competition each received a distinct ancestral ground secret map, all different from one another. As the 10 were observing the secret maps entering their minds, the 3 patriarchs and the top 10 competitors were unaware that within their ancestral land, behind the 4th statue in the hidden expanse of the ancestral land secret realm, in the central region of the secret realm, beams of light shot towards the sky continuously. These beams piercing heavenwards were scattered in the central region of the secret realm. No more, no less, precisely 10 in number. If Yi-chan could see where these beams of light originated, he would discover that the deepest and broadest of the 10 beams was exactly the mysterious valley with 18 giant golden monkey statues that appeared in his mind. As beams of light emerged in the 10 areas, a long-drawn voice rang out in the vast ancestral land secret realm. It's been over 300 years. The 6th opening of the ancestral land is upon us, ready to welcome a new batch of young ones from the 3 clans. However, I wonder if any of those youngsters will make it to the core area this time. That core area is even more precious than the 10 great secret grounds displayed in the secret maps. Not a single person made it to the core in the previous 5 openings. I hope I won't be disappointed again this time. After all, this time, even it left by the old master has been born. After murmuring a few words to itself, the voice slowly faded away, and the beams of light, stimulated by the opening of the ancestral ground secret maps, also began to dim. Calm returned to the ancestral land secret realm. At that moment, in the most central area of the ancestral land secret realm, surrounded by 9 towering peaks, in the midst of a huge golden lake, the palm-sized golden monkey with fur that sparkled and shone brightly all over leapt up from the lake once more. Iya! The little monkey seemed to sense the anomaly outside the ancestral land. Its dazzling eyes shone like black gems, filled with curious expression. Whoosh! The golden monkey dashed and soared hundreds of meters high, swiftly reaching the top of the 9 towering peaks. As the little monkey looked around, outside in the ancestral shrines of the 3 clans, 9 of the top 10 who had received the ancestral ground's secret maps exited the shrines. Only Yi Chun and the 3 patriarchs remained inside the ancestral shrine. At this time, the 3 patriarchs looked at Yi Chun and said with a smile, "Yi Chun, now we will give you the highest reward of this competition, ancestral blood. This ancestral blood is the lifeblood of Lord D. Kong himself, who helped our 3 clans establish the ancestral land and left behind the ancestral land secret realm." As patriarchy spoke, the 3 of them walked beneath the 3 ancestral statues and sat down cross-legged. All 3 simultaneously formed a strange Dharma seal with their hands and began to chant mysterious spells with their eyes closed. Lord D. Kong's lifeblood? So, the personage our ancestors befriended back then was known as Lord D. Kong. Yi Chun watched the strange actions of the 3 patriarchs, pondering to himself when, amidst the chanting and hand seals, a wondrous ball of light suddenly emerged from the center of the 3 ancestral statues. It was the size of a fist. When the outer light dissipated, one could see it was actually a giant blood bead. The surface of the blood bead flowed with endless spiritual patterns, radiating golden light throughout. Truly a golden drop of blood. Ancestral blood. This was the profound and mystical ancestral blood, D. Kong's blood. Chapter 97. The astounding Dharma form. Golden blood droplets. The essence of blood from Lord D. Kong is actually golden droplets. Yi Chun looked at the fist-sized golden ancestral blood suspended in mid-air, his mouth agape. He had never seen blood droplets of such color before, nor had he ever seen a single droplet as large as a fist. At this moment, the 3 elderly clan chiefs, who had summoned the ancestral blood with a strange Dharma seal, also stood up from their sitting positions. Seeing Yi Chun's astonished expression, they said with a smile, "Yi Chun, you should have heard that our ancestors came to know Lord D. Kong because they once saved his life." Yi Chun nodded. He had heard about the deeds of Lord D. Kong from his parents since he was young. He was told that it was the 3 ancestors of their family who, while out hunting, had saved an important figure. That figure, later upon leaving, had given 3 clans a piece of ancestral land as thanks, as well as a mysterious ancestral land secret realm. The 3 elder clan chiefs continued, "Lord D. Kong. His strength was entirely beyond the imagination of the 3 ancestors. According to the ancestral records, when the 3 ancestors found Lord D. Kong injured and unconscious in Wanya Mountain, they tried to lift him to take him to the city for treatment, but they simply couldn't do it. You must understand that at that time, the 3 ancestors had cultivated to the 7th and 8th layers of the true Qi realm, and Elder Bai had even reached the 10th layer. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been able to escape the great disaster of their hometown. 3 true Qi realm experts living off hunting demon beasts outside Qingyang City. The combined power of the 3 could even kill mighty 10th order demon beasts. Yet, they couldn't even lift a person who was injured and unconscious. Just think how powerful Lord D. Kong must have been. It's feared that just the weight of Lord D. Kong's physical body exceeds 100,000 pounds. These words from the 3 elder clan chiefs made Yi Chun take a deep breath. The 3 ancestors of the true Qi realm, with 2 at the 7th and 8th layers and 1 at the 10th layer of true Qi, their combined strength indeed surpassed a tremendous force of 100,000 pounds. Such strength, and they still couldn't lift Lord D. Kong. Lord D. Kong was too fearsome. The clan elders continued speaking. Later, when the 3 ancestors could not lift Lord D. Kong, they stayed to guard him where he lay unconscious and tended to him carefully. It was only after more than a month that Lord D. Kong somewhat recovered consciousness, and the 3 were then able to bring him back to their home in the city. Afterward, the 3 ancestors learned that Lord D. Kong was not human, but a peerless monkey king, whose cultivation had reached an enlightenment stage where he could transform into a human form. Although Lord D. Kong never specified his realm, just from some of the methods he revealed, the 3 ancestors knew that his strength far surpassed that of the Spirit Sea realm and even the rotating Pill realm. Lord D. Kong is likely a supreme powerhouse of the Heavenly Saint realm. a supreme powerhouse of the heavenly saint realm, a peerless monkey king capable of transforming into a human. The accounts given by the three elderly clan chiefs about Lord Dekong left Yi Chun completely astounded. Yi Chun had seen demon kings before. In the Thousand Lotus Cave abode, both the three-eyed giant ape and the gigantic feathered sparrow were demon kings, but neither could transform into a human form. Could it be that Lord Dekong was even more powerful than the three-eyed giant ape and the gigantic feathered sparrow? Truly on the level of heavenly Saint Qianji, a supreme powerhouse of the heavenly saint realm. Yi Chun couldn't imagine that his family could be related to such a high-level figure of the heavenly saint realm. Such a powerhouse, even when injured and unconscious, could kill Spirit Sea realm experts with his mere breath. No wonder the ancestral land established by Lord Dekong couldn't be entered by outsiders, and even Spirit Sea realm experts who tried to forcefully break in could be easily killed. No wonder the mysterious ancestral land secret realm contained countless secret treasures that could even cultivate experts at the level of the Spirit Sea realm. No wonder that just a droplet of blood was as large as a fist, and in the mysterious ancestral ground secret map, there were even statues of the golden monkey. So, this Lord Dekong was a supreme powerhouse of the heavenly saint realm, the peerless monkey king of the heavenly saint realm. The three elderly clan chiefs, looking at the golden blood droplet floating in the void, exclaimed, "When Lord Dekong left, he told our three ancestors that even though he was unconscious, his protective divine thought could sense all danger. If it were not for the three ancestors' good intentions, truly wishing to heal him, and had they harbored the slightest ill will, they would have died by Lord Dekong's hand. Fortunately, the three ancestors were innately kind-hearted. It was in this manner that they forged a good karma, which brought a great opportunity that lasted 1,000 years to our three clans." Until here, the three elderly clan chiefs looked towards Yi Chun. Yi Chun, such a powerful figure as Lord Dekong, his pride far exceeds others. He wouldn't directly hand benefits to the three clans but left behind the ancestral land secret realm and numerous astonishing treasures. Only clan members who meet his requirements would he bless with great fortune. Over the years, our clan had an empty treasure cave but lacked the ability to obtain major benefits from it. At most, some were able to acquire spirit tools and spirit pills from it, successfully aiding their breakthrough to the Spirit Sea realm. According to those ancestors who have entered the ancestral land, they haven't even reached the core area of the ancestral land secret realm left by Lord Dekong. Yi Chun, now that you have acquired the ancestral blood, you have the chance to seek out the ultimate treasures left by Lord Dekong. We hope you can surpass your predecessors from the past 5 entries into the ancestral land, seizing more great opportunities and fortunes. The three elderly clan chiefs looked at Yi Chun, filled with expectation. Yi Chun's miraculous performance in the competition among the three clans convinced them that he had the strength to go farther in the ancestral land secret realm than his predecessors. Our family is becoming increasingly decrepit. Not a single Spirit Sea realm expert has emerged from it for hundreds of years. Had it not been for the existence of the ancestral land secret realm and a chance for a reversal of fortune, our three great clans would slowly become just an ordinary family. Yi Chun, your father and mother were directly abducted by the Spirit Sea realm expert, Zhou Yuntian, due to our family's lack of strength. If it had been a few hundred years earlier, when there were several Spirit Sea realm experts in our family, how could we have allowed someone to bully us at our doorstep? At the time, countless clansmen were injured by Zhou Yuntian, and we three old fellows, feeling shame before our ancestors, knelt outside the ancestral land for a month. Finally, the opportunity for the opening of the ancestral land came. For the family to be strong, to protect more clansmen, we must constantly produce powerful experts. Yi Chun, we hope that you can obtain great fortune in this opening of the ancestral land, further strengthen yourself, and take up the responsibility for the family's revival. In saying this, the three elderly clan chiefs showed a trace of tears. Yi Chun learned from Tower that when Zhou Yuntian first came to their door, countless martial artists in the family had been injured by Zhou Yuntian, and his own parents were personally captured by Zhou Yuntian. He could imagine the hatred in the hearts of the three old family heads at that time. hate for their powerlessness, hate for the family's decline and humiliation. It must have been this sense of shame and hatred that once again opened up Lord Dekong's ancestral land's secret realm. Now, having killed Zhou Yuntian with his own hands and gained the opportunity to enter the ancestral land, he certainly wanted to seize this chance and never allow someone like Zhou Yuntian to bully his family again. Powerful, just as the three old family heads had hoped, he needed to become powerful. Powerful enough to protect his parents and relatives, to protect all the members of his family. Yes, three grandfathers of the clan heads. I will definitely work hard and strive to further improve my strength during the exploration of the ancestral land's secret realm. Yi Chun said solemnly to the three old family heads. For his father and mother, for his family, for himself, and for the covenant of the great mystery that would occur in a few months, he had to make himself stronger. Good. Good. Yi Chun. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. You are still young. As long as you work hard, everything is possible. Now, drop a drop of your blood into this drop of ancestral blood left by Lord Dekong. Maybe, when you enter the ancestral land, you will be able to receive guidance from the ancestral blood and obtain the ultimate reward left by Lord Dekong. The three old family heads said to Yi Chun. Yi Chun nodded, looked at the golden drop of blood floating in the void, took a deep breath, and then gently touched the golden drop of blood in the void with his finger. His drop of fresh blood flew straight towards the golden drop. Boom! The moment his drop of blood touched the golden drop in the void, Yi Chun felt an ancient and vast primordial breath enter his mind. In an instant, he seemed to see a golden monkey king, standing in the void, towering higher than a giant mountain. This golden monkey king, over 1,000 feet long, was clad in a purple golden holy robe, wearing a gold illuminating crown on his head, wielding a gigantic black staff, and with a long red cape hung behind him, standing proudly in the void, imposing and majestic. At the sight of this golden monkey king, a roar sounded in Yi Chun's mind. Is this Lord Dekong? As Yi Chun's blood merged with the blood of Lord Dekong and he felt the presence of Lord Dekong, in the most central area of the ancestral land's secret realm, the small, palm-sized, golden monkey that was lying atop the 9 heaven-reaching giant peaks looking around, seemed to sense something and looked towards the sky of the ancestral land. The direction it looked was precisely where the ancestral shrine, where Yi Chun was located, was. Iya, the small golden monkey, its body covered in golden fur that danced and shone brilliantly, blinked its gem-like sparkling black eyes that had infinite divine light swirling in them, showing a somewhat puzzled yet curious expression. D. The little guy's voice was milky and unclear as it tried to speak. Its 2 small golden ears perked up, listening for sounds from the entire ancestral land secret realm. But it heard nothing. The little one pouted, and with a swift leap, it jumped from the 1,000-foot-tall heaven-reaching giant peak back into the golden lake. Yi Chun was completely unaware of the situation in the ancestral land's secret realm. Immersed in the primordial essence of the ancestral blood and Lord Dekong's astonishing Dharma seal, he only came to his senses after a long while at the sound of the 3 clan heads' voices. Yi Chun, keep the ancestral blood safely. Prepare to enter the ancestral land's secret realm in 3 days. As the clan head spoke, they handed Yi Chun a small golden box, and following the method passed down by the 3 family heads, he collected the ancestral blood into the box. After securing the small box containing the ancestral blood close to himself, Yi Chun, followed by the 3 old clan heads, stepped out of the ancestral shrine. Young master! Over here, young master! As soon as he stepped out of the ancestral shrine, Yi Chun saw the young girl tower waving at him from the crowd. There were many people crowded outside the ancestral shrine. Bai Xiaodai and the other top 10 contestants were still waiting outside, and the vast majority of the members of the 3 clans were also outside the ancestral shrine. Next to Tower, his parents were also smiling at him from within the crowd. Yi Chun smiled and walked over to his parents and Tower. Chapter 98. Entering the ancestral land. Yi Chun. Yi Chun. As Yi Chun walked towards his parents and Tower, all the clansmen of the 3 clans greeted him loudly. They even voluntarily cleared a path for him. On the faces of the clansmen, smiles were abundant. Yi-chan, the champion of the tri-clan competition and the most formidable youth of his generation, had defeated a true Chi level 11 expert at merely 15 years of age. His future was limitless. Watching Yi-chan, they saw the hope for the three clans, their bright future. In the barbaric wilderness continent where martial arts were revered, Yi-chan was indeed the genius youth of his clan, and of course everyone in his family was proud and honored by him. When Yi-chan smiled and returned the salutations to his clansmen, many of them even screamed excitedly, "Young master! Young master!" When Yi-chan approached his parents and tower, the little girl's face flushed with excitement. She had witnessed her young master ascend the steep sect entrance alone, facing a Spirit Sea realm expert without an ounce of fear. Now, in the clan's grand competition, she had seen her young master unstoppable and sweeping through everything, claiming the championship with ease. How could Tower not be overjoyed by this? Chaner, Yi-chen's mother, Lin Rin, held his hand, her eyes brimming with pride. Her child had won the first place in the tri-clan competition, and when many clanspeople around her learned that Yi-chan was her son, their praise and envy gave her feelings she had never experienced in over 30 years. The gentle Lin Rin, under these emotions, also felt her mood intensely stirred. This was the pride and honor her child had brought to her. Yi-chen's father, Yi Xiaotian, standing beside them with his broad face full of smiles, was chuckling heartily, but his smile was no less proud and honored than Lin Rin's. All right, the tri-clan competition is officially over, and the rewards for the top 10 have all been distributed. In 3 days, the exploration of the ancestral land's secret realm will officially begin. Everyone go back now. We'll meet outside the ancestral land in 3 days. The 3 old clan leaders stepped out from the ancestral shrine, looking at Yi-chan by Xiaodai, the top 10 of the competition, the top 30, and the countless clansmen who gathered outside the shrine, loudly laughing as they spoke. Although the clan leaders said so, the excited clansmen were reluctant to leave for a long time. Only after Yi-chan, by Xiaodai, and the others returned to their own homes, making preparations to enter the ancestral land, did the crowd around the shrine gradually disperse. After having a meal with his parents at home, Yi-chan returned to his cultivation. The numerous battles he had observed and fought in the tri-clan competition had brought him significant gains, especially the last battle with Bai Xiaodai, which was extremely beneficial. He needed to properly reflect on the gains and losses of the fight. Strength and realm improvements did not fall from the sky. They required daily hard work and diligent practice. Yi-chan understood this. In the final 3 days before entering the ancestral land, he remained immersed in his cultivation, continuously enhancing his abilities. During these 3 days, countless members of the 3 clans visited Yi-chan's home, and many even came with marriage proposals. Yi-chan, at 15 years of age, with such great strength, kindled romantic feelings in quite a few young girls of the 3 clans. They shyly expressed their sentiments to their parents, who were of course extremely satisfied with Yi-chan, and many sent go-betweens to propose marriage. The more eager even came in person. This left Yi-chan's parents somewhat at a loss whether to laugh or cry. They had already heard from Tower about Zhang Yao, and they very much liked the girl who had traveled 1,000 miles from the Taishan sect to stand before Yi-chan, challenging the Mid-Spirit Sea Realm expert Zhou Yuntian for Yi-chen's sake, the legendary talent of Heavenly Wind Kingdom's Eastern Domain 36 sects, who was only 17 years old yet already a Spirit Sea Realm expert and of graceful beauty. Naturally, they wouldn't presume to engage Yi-chan in another betrothal. In the end, even Bai Xiaodia's mother came to visit Lin Rin at Yi-chen's home and spoke with her quietly for a long time. 3 days went by in the blink of an eye. Finally, the day to enter the ancestral land arrived. Early in the morning, the area outside the ancestral land was crowded with people. By the time Yi-chan arrived there with his parents and Tower, the place was already packed. From a distance, they could see the entrance to the ancestral land, where the clan chiefs and many young people who were to enter the land were already waiting. Had the clanspeople not recognized Yi-chan and made way for him, He might have had to use his agility to leap into the crowd to get through. "Chenner, there are a lot of people here, you go ahead, we will wait outside," said Lin Rin and Yi Xiaotian, carefully admonishing Yi Chun about various things. "Young master, after you come out from the ancestral land, you have to tell me what it's like inside," said the young maid Tower, tugging at Yi Chen's sleeve and smiling as she spoke. Yi Chun nodded to his parents and Tower with a smile. After bidding farewell, he walked into the crowd towards the entrance of the ancestral land. Yi Chun! Yi Chun! Along the way, Yi Chun encountered many of his young friends, including Chen Yun and Bai Xiaodong, who excitedly waved their arms at Yi Chun, and he smiled back, greeting them in return. When he arrived at the entrance to the ancestral land, he found that more than half of the 30 individuals who were to enter had already arrived. Seeing that Yi Chun had also arrived, the 3 patriarchs and the young people all surged towards him. Yi Chun. When Bai Xiaodai saw Yi Chun, her usually valiant appearance flushed with a shy red, clearly aware of the visit her mother had made to Yi Chen's mother. Yi Chun, however, did not notice Bai Xiaodia's odd expression and smiled as he walked into the crowd. After a short wait, all 30 individuals who were to enter the ancestral land finally gathered. The 30 looked towards the ancestral land, towards the statues of the 3 forebears on the periphery, and towards the 4th statue shrouded in faint smoke in the center belonging to Great Dekong. They gazed upon the dark swirl 2 zhang in diameter that represented the entrance to the ancestral land's secret realm, their hearts filled with excitement. Very soon, they were about to enter the ancestral land's secret realm, which only opened once every 300 years. At that moment, Patriarch Bai stepped forward, his gaze sweeping over the crowd outside the ancestral land and across the faces of the 30 youths, causing the place to gradually quiet down. Patriarch Bai raised his voice and proclaimed, "Today is the day when the most outstanding 30 of our younger generation enter the ancestral land to seek adventure and search for great opportunities. Regarding the matters to be aware of when entering the ancestral land, I need to emphasize again." Patriarch Bai looked at the 30 youths. "The ancestral land's secret realm is the exclusive secret realm of our 3 clans, and outsiders cannot enter, only our people can. However, do not assume that it's completely safe inside. Although it is much safer compared to other places of adventure, there is still the danger of falling if you are not careful. During the first 5 openings of the ancestral land's secret realm, according to the ancestral canon, out of 150 people who entered, 3 fell inside due to being overly reckless. You must be cautious on this venture into the ancestral land." Hearing the words of Patriarch Bai, all 30 youths bound for the ancestral land solemnly nodded their heads. Nowhere is absolutely secure, and the ancestral land's secret realm, as a place concealing secret treasures, is no exception. Patriarch Bai continued, "The great person who established the ancestral land left countless secret treasures within the secret realm, but also numerous trials. Only those who pass these trials can obtain the treasures. You must strive for the treasures while ensuring your own safety. Lastly, I must stress that once you enter the ancestral land's secret realm, the entrance will completely close behind you and will not reopen until one day after an entire month. When the ancestral land's secret realm entrance reopens, your pass tokens will emit a special glow, signaling that it is time to leave. At that moment, you must drop your blood onto your ancestral ground pass tokens, and you will be transported out of the ancestral land. Remember, you must leave the ancestral land's secret realm proactively. Otherwise, once the one-day limit for departure ends and you have not actively exited, the secret realm will forcefully eject you, and by then, you could likely be injured. You have only 1 month to explore the ancestral land's secret realm. Seize that month well. Now, I will distribute the pass tokens and ordinary maps of the ancestral land's secret realm to you." Having spoken, Patriarch Bai sent 30 black tokens and 30 maps flying towards the 30 youths entering the ancestral land. Yi Chun and the others raised their hands and caught the black tokens and maps. The black tokens were the pass tokens for entry to the ancestral land. The map was an ordinary map of the ancestral land's secret realm, not like the special ancestral ground secret map given as an exclusive reward to the top 10. which had special treasure areas marked. This ordinary map only had general information and locations regarding the ancestral land's secret realm. After Yi Chan and the others had inspected the black tokens and the map of the ancestral land, putting them away, the voices of the three patriarchs came to them. Enter the ancestral land. 1 month of opportunity and fate lies ahead of you. Time will tell what you managed to glean from the ancestral land's secret realm. 1 month from now, we will be here waiting for your return. Go ahead. Amidst the voices of the three patriarchs, Yi Chan and the other 30 individuals took one more glance at their loved ones, then took a deep breath before taking big strides into the depths of the ancestral land. Ancestral land, secret realm, and trance. It's through here that we enter the ancestral land, secret realm. Upon first setting foot into the mysterious ancestral land, the hearts of the 30 youths began pounding violently. As they reached behind the fourth statue and saw the dark Tuzhong-wide vortex, their heartbeats grew even more intense. The mysterious place of the ancestral land, secret realm, with its treasures that have been passed down for 1,000 years by the three clans, lay just beyond. Let's go. After exchanging glances, 2 of the youths took the lead and leaped into the dark vortex. The moment they jumped in, their past tokens emitted an incredibly mystical light. Then they vanished from sight. Let's go. Let's enter as well. After the 2 disappeared, the others followed suit, jumping into the dark vortex one after another. Ancestral land, secret realm. A month of exploration awaits. Yi Chun stared at the mystical black vortex before him, took a deep breath, and with a leap, also jumped into the dark vortex. Chapter 99, Artifact Spirit. The heavens and earth spun around. Just moments ago, Yi Chun had been within the 10-acre ancestral land secret realm, having just leapt into the pitch-black vortex behind the fourth statue. Moments later, Yi Chun discovered that he was now standing in an immensely vast world. Upon entering this world, the first feeling Yi Chun had was one of unspeakable comfort. True Qi filled this realm to the brim, and one could even see endless green true Qi throughout the sky, with visible streams of green true Qi occasionally passing through the air. There, he didn't need to cultivate his true Qi at all. The 7 true Qi vortices within his body, the Qi meridian, the 8 extraordinary meridians, and the 33 meridian cycles all opened automatically, absorbing the true Qi of the heavens and earth. As the true Qi of the heavens and earth cleansed him, every part of Yi Chen's body felt incredibly comfortable. The rate at which he involuntarily absorbed the true Qi was 5 to 6 times faster than when he cultivated outside. A treasure land. This truly was a treasure land. If he could keep cultivating here, the speed at which Yi Chun could rush towards the true Qi realm could easily increase by 5 to 6 times. Such rich true Qi of the heavens and earth. It's so comfortable. Here every pore and every acupoint seems to be breathing in the true Qi of the heavens and earth. Is this the ancestral land, secret realm? Alongside Yi Chun, the other young warriors also arrived one after another in the ancestral land, secret realm. And like him, their first sensation was the tremendous true Qi filling this secret realm. After a short while, by Xiaodai, Qianming, Yishui, and the other top 10 contestants, as well as by Xiaolong, Qian Shan, and the other 30 strongest who Yi Chun had battled, all arrived inside the ancestral land secret realm. The 30 youngsters stood in the vast world of the ancestral land secret realm, scrutinizing this land closely. They were in an endless plain. The ground was covered in low-growing vegetation that stretched as far as the eye could see, likely in the billions, and continued to the invisible horizons of the plains. The vegetation was a deep shade of green, just like the true Qi of the heavens and earth, and what was miraculous was that on these plants, one could occasionally see golden fruits growing. These golden fruits shone brightly, their bodies lustrous, making them quite extraordinary. Looking into the distance, one could faintly see tracts of forests and towering peaks reaching into the distant horizon. Yi Chun took out the map of the ancestral land and observed it. From their current location and the surroundings, they were unmistakably at the periphery of the ancestral land's secret realm, the green flow-plains. The ancestral land's secret realm is divided into 3 major areas: the outer periphery, the central part, and the core. We are now in the outer periphery. The forests in the distant horizon probably denote the central area, and those towering peaks far in the depths must be the core of the secret realm. How do we seek treasures in this secret realm? How do we enter the central and core areas of the secret realm? Given this distance, I fear it will take more than a month to reach there. The other youngsters also took out their maps of the ancestral land, looking and discussing amongst themselves. In this peripheral area of the green floodplains, where true qi was immensely abundant, cultivating here was actually not a bad choice. However, there were rumors that countless secret treasures existed within the ancestral land's secret realm, and understandably, the youngsters did not want to just cultivate here. According to what the elders had said, they had only 1 month to seek their great fortune within the ancestral land's secret realm, and of course, they wanted to make the most of it. Yi Chun, what do we do next? Bai Xiaodai, clad in a white snug outfit, approached Yi Chun, and Yi Chen's cousin, Yi Shui, also moved towards him. Then the others started to gather around Yi Chun as well. Among those who had entered the ancestral land for exploration, Yi Chun was the strongest, and naturally, everyone unconsciously saw him as their leader. Yi Chun looked up at the vast periphery, at the deep green plants covering the land, and at the occasional golden fruits on the plants. He reached out his hand, and a golden fruit flew directly into his palm. Yi Chun examined the golden fruit in his hand. It was the size of a walnut, extremely hard, and Yi Chun couldn't even crush it when he squeezed. Even more bizarre was that upon closer inspection of the fruit, one could see golden light occasionally shining forth from within. Holding the fruit, Yi Chun looked at the youngsters who had gathered around him and thought for a moment before saying, "The ancestral land's secret realm, as Grandfather Patriarch mentioned, will include various challenges, and only by passing these challenges might one obtain a secret treasure. Now that we've all entered here, I suspect the challenges will soon arrive." As he was speaking, the floating green air currents in the sky suddenly began to move rapidly, with many large clusters of green air currents even converging together, building up more and more. What's happening? This is... The youngsters gathered around Yi Chun, staring at the change in the true qi air currents in the sky when suddenly, from within that large mass of green air currents, a loud laugh rang out. "Ha ha! After 351 years, I finally see a new batch of youngsters from the 3 tribes again. Don't worry, I shall soon tell you how to benefit from this ancestral land secret realm." Amidst the laughter, the cyan stream of true qi slowly converged to form a gigantic face that appeared to be that of a monkey's. All the young adventurers looked up into the sky, towards the gigantic face made of true qi that could speak. Could it be? Is this Lord Dekong's avatar left in the ancestral land's secret realm? Yi Chun gazed at the huge face in the sky and speculated. He had once entered a secret realm, the Thousand Lotus Cave abode, where the master of the abode, Qian Jizi, had left behind an avatar as well. No, that's not right. It doesn't quite resemble Lord Dekong's visage. Upon closer examination, Yi Chun discovered the face mimicked Lord Dekong's features but didn't resemble his heroic and extraordinary true appearance. Through his ancestral blood, Yi Chun had indeed glimpsed the true form of Lord Dekong. As the youths were guessing the nature of the speaking face, it seemed to have seen through their thoughts. It opened its mouth and laughed, saying, "No need for wild guesses. I am the ethereal spirit holy temple, or what you refer to as the artifact spirit of the ancestral land's secret realm." Ethereal spirit holy temple? Artifact spirit? The youngsters were even more bewildered by the giant face's words. The enormous face explained, "I might as well tell you, since when you leave this place, aside from the secret's treasures you will take with you, all other vital information about this ethereal spirit holy temple will be erased from your memories. You'll only retain basic recollections of your adventure. This ancestral land's secret realm you are in was owned by my former master, Lord Dekong. In those days, to repay your 3 clans for saving his life, he deliberately left his spatial sacred artifact, ethereal spirit holy temple, here in the ancestral land, transforming it into a secret realm for you to explore. Little fellows, The place you are exploring is actually inside the spatial sacred artifact, Ethereal Spirit Holy Temple. And I am the spirit of the sacred artifact of this Ethereal Spirit Holy Temple. This sacred artifact was naturally formed, possesses endless wisdom, and is the controlling artifact spirit of this entire artifact. The words of the gigantic face stunned all the youngsters. Lord Dikong? A spatial sacred artifact. It turns out the ancestral land secret realm is actually a sacred artifact. The vast world we are in is actually the internal space of a sacred artifact, and this suddenly appearing gigantic face is an intelligent artifact spirit? Whether it was the concept of a spatial sacred artifact or that of a spirit of a sacred artifact, these were beyond the level of things that the youths in the true Qi realm should contact. Hearing about it for the first time, they were naturally astonished. Upon hearing the words, spatial sacred artifact, Yi Chen's eyes suddenly sparkled with brilliance. He had seen a spatial sacred artifact before. The Thousand Lotus Cave abode he had ventured into was one such artifact. Even though there were the three-eyed giant ape and the giant feathered bird, as well as the avatar of Qianjizi, the artifact spirit of that space didn't come forth to oversee the challenges of the cave abode. But Yi Chen knew that the sacred artifact could only be truly controlled by powerful beings in the heavenly saint realm. So, it's true, Lord Dikong indeed is a mighty heavenly saint realm expert. He actually left one of his sacred artifacts within our three clans as a place of adventure, giving the youth of the clans the opportunity to seek treasure. Yi Chen finally understood the true strength of the significant figure their clans had once saved. A sacred artifact, casually left within the three clans, Lord Dikong, must have reached the heavenly saint realm. And perhaps even within that realm, he was incredibly powerful. Thinking back to the glimpse of the towering figure during the fusion of the primeval blood with his ancestral blood, recalling the extraordinary dharma of Lord Dikong over 1,000 zhang tall, Yi Chen was beside himself with excitement. When would he be able to reach the heavenly saint realm and become as mighty as this? While all the youngsters were engrossed and astounded by the words of the spirit of the sacred artifact, the artifact spirit that had morphed into the gigantic face continued, "The ethereal spirit holy temple contains countless treasures, the treasures that our old master left for the younger generations of your three clans are also innumerable. Next, I will tell you about the secret treasures you might obtain in this outer area." As the artifact spirit spoke, endless streams of true Qi surged violently, and then a massive stele suddenly fell from the sky, crashing down. This huge stele, standing over 30 meters tall, was embedded directly into the ground. Etched on the massive stele from top to bottom were hundreds of lines of text, and at the very top were the large characters, "Myriad Treasures Stele." Hearing the artifact spirit mention the secret treasures, the 30 youths focused their attention, looking towards both the artifact spirit and the huge stele that had descended from the heavens. Upon seeing the text on the enormous stele, all the youngsters involuntarily gaped in awe. The writings on the gigantic stele were all descriptions of countless treasures. The myriad treasures stele appeared to contain records of treasures, perhaps truly as many as 10,000. Chapter 100 Golden Light Beads. Treasure. Tens of thousands of treasures. Could it be that these treasures are the secret treasures we can obtain from the periphery of the ancestral land secret realm? Yi Chen's eyes grew brighter as he looked at the myriad of treasures listed on the myriad treasures stele. 58 superior Huang rank martial skills. They include the silk wrapping hand, fire fighting spear skills, drawing sword 18 forms, 136 Shen level weapons available for true Qi realm warriors. They include a 72 Jin Snow Silver Soft Sword, a 398 Jin Broad Heavy Blade, a pair of mysterious iron battle axes. Just the treasures listed at the very bottom of the myriad treasure stele involved superior Huang rank martial skills and Shen level weapons. Moreover, the higher up the myriad treasure stele one looked, the more precious the treasures became. One must know that aside from a few individuals like Yi Chen, the majority of the youths from the three great families practiced Huang rank martial skills, with many even practicing lower and middle Huang rank martial skills. Yet the treasures on the myriad treasure stele were At the very least, superior Huang rank martial skills. How could this not excite, even drive the young warriors to madness? A land of secret treasures. Indeed, the ancestral land's secret realm is a land of secret treasures. Just the treasures on the myriad treasure stele had set everyone's gaze ablaze. Everyone couldn't help but look up toward the even more precious treasures. 18 complete sets of Shen-level equipment, including Shen-level weapons, Shen-level armor, and Shen-level boots. 72 small spirit pills, each capable of directly enhancing a true Qi realm warrior's cultivation by 1 level. 1 pill per person, limited to true Qi realm warriors below the 12th layer. Small spirit pills, actually capable of directly boosting one's true Qi realm level? Upon seeing the description of the small spirit pills, many youths even screamed out loud. True Qi realm warriors, who continuously polished their true Qi and improved their cultivation, had never heard of any kind of miraculous pill that could directly advance a level in the true Qi realm. This small spirit pill could actually help cultivators below the 12th layer of the true Qi realm to directly advance 1 level. That is to say, if a warrior at the 11th layer of the true Qi realm consumed a small spirit pill, they could even advance directly to the 12th layer. How could this not make the young warriors scream out loud? And what excited them even more lay further ahead. 198 lower Shen rank martial skills, 36 lower grade spiritual weapons, 95 middle Shen rank martial skills, 73 middle grade spiritual weapons, 27 superior Shen rank martial skills, 19 superior grade spiritual weapons. When they saw that there were hundreds of Shen rank martial skills and spiritual weapons, including even the most prized superior Shen rank martial skills, all the youths' hearts throbbed wildly. Any one of these items would make their journey to the ancestral land's secret realm worthwhile. And yet, these were not the most precious treasures of the myriad treasure stele. At the very top of the myriad treasure stele, each item, just by being gazed upon, shocked everyone beyond belief. The number 1 treasure of the myriad treasure stele, Heavenly Saint Dekong's innate essence map. It contains 18 powerful essences awakened by Heavenly Saint Dekong during his Spirit Sea realm phase. The second treasure of the myriad treasure stele, the Creation Yuan pill. Consuming this pill guarantees a successful breakthrough from the true Qi realm to the Spirit Sea realm at the 12th layer, and a 70% chance of success when breaking through from the later phase of the Spirit Sea realm to the rotating pill realm. Limited to 1 pill per person. Must be consumed before 30 years of age in the true Qi realm, and before 50 in the Spirit Sea realm. The third treasure of the myriad treasure stele, the Life Origin pill. Consuming one can regenerate limbs for mortals, granting 100 years of lifespan and robust vigor. For martial artists, it fully restores any reduction in life force, achieving an optimal state of life. The fourth treasure of the myriad treasure stele, the Ethereal Spirit Ring, which contains a storage space of 800 zhong in diameter. Upon seeing the 4 characters of Heavenly Saint Dekong, all the youths realized that the great figure their 3 tribes had once saved, the one who had left behind this ancestral land's secret realm space, was actually a cultivator of the Heavenly Saint realm. Heavenly Saint Dekong's innate essence map, although unknown in nature, simply the word essence made them understand that it is equivalent to the powerful martial enlightenment stage of sword intense. Moreover, these were the 18 innate essences awakened by Heavenly Saint Dekong during his Spirit Sea realm phase, and their value was immeasurable. There's also the Creation Yuan pill. Indeed, it is a huge fortune, capable of ensuring that a true Qi realm individual can step into the Spirit Sea realm with 100% certainty. It gives those in the Spirit Sea realm a 70% chance of entering the rotating pill realm. One should know that among the cultivators in the true Qi realm, it was already remarkable if 1 in 10,000 could become a Spirit Sea realm warrior. Otherwise, there wouldn't be so many who remain stuck at the 12th layer of the true Qi realm, unable to break through to the Spirit Sea realm in their entire life. Likewise, none from the 3 great families would have been able to step into the Spirit Sea realm. And the transition from the Spirit Sea realm to the rotating pill realm was even more difficult. A single rotating pill realm master could even found a 7th-rank sect. This shows how powerful the rotating pill realm is. This creation Yuan pill ensured a true Qi realm individual can step into the Spirit Sea realm with 100% certainty, and gives a person in the Spirit Sea realm a 70% chance of stepping into the rotating pill realm. The profound mysteries of these realms contained within are likely achievable only by a heavenly saint realm powerhouse. There's also the life origin pill, the storage space ring, the ethereal spirit ring. Any one of the 4 great treasures of the myriad treasures steel, if taken out, would likely drive countless people mad. Generosity. Heavenly Saint Dekong indeed shows great generosity. Such a vast treasure trove was left for the 3 clans, and with it, so many treasures. And this is only the peripheral area where sacred relics can be exchanged. The 30 young warriors venturing through the ancestral land's secret realm didn't know yet that, in the central area and the even more mysterious core area, what kind of treasures would be waiting for them. How about it? These treasures are pretty good, right? As the young warriors were shocked by the countless treasures on the myriad treasures steel, the voice of the spirit of the sacred artifact reached them again. Yes, of course, they're good. Whether it's the myriad Shen-level martial skills or the spirit weapons often used by warriors in the Spirit Sea realm or those small spirit pills, any young warrior who obtained them would be extremely satisfied. Even obtaining the worst Huang-level superior martial skill would allow them to increase their capabilities by 1 or 2. Not to mention the 4 most precious treasures of the myriad treasure steel. Obtaining them would probably drive them crazy. But the young warriors also knew that with so many treasures laid out here, it was unlikely that they could just take them directly. There must be challenges waiting for them. Sure enough, the spirit of the sacred artifact said, "These treasures are all here. As long as you have the ability, you can obtain them. In the first 5 openings of the ancestral land, in this peripheral area, the most any of your predecessors managed was for 3 people to each obtain a creation Yuan pill. As for the number 1 treasure on the myriad treasures steel, not a single person was qualified to obtain it. The ancestral land had been established for over 1,000 years and had been opened more than 5 times. Yet not a single person had obtained the innate essence map of Heavenly Saint Dekong. The words of the spirit of the sacred artifact tightened the hearts of the young warriors. It seemed that obtaining these sacred relics wouldn't be easy. Spirit of the artifact. How can we obtain the sacred relics on the myriad treasures steel? Standing next to Yichun, Bai Xiaodai asked aloud. Bai Xiaodia's question was also the doubt of countless young warriors. They too wanted to know how to obtain these sacred relics. The spirit of the sacred artifact looked at Bai Xiaodai. Then its gaze finally rested on Yichun. After a slight pause, it smiled at Yichun and said, "Among you 30 people, 10 have obtained the map of the ancestral land's secret realm. Also, little fellow, you should have obtained ancestral blood, right? I didn't expect that at only the 7th layer of the true Qi realm, you would achieve first place in the great competition of the 3 clans. It seems your martial skills are quite impressive." Yichun hadn't expected that the spirit of the sacred artifact could tell at a glance that he had obtained the ancestral blood. "Yes, spirit of the artifact, I have obtained the ancestral blood," Yichun replied. The spirit of the sacred artifact nodded. How to obtain the sacred relics on the myriad treasure steel. How the top 10 can enter the place indicated by the map of the ancestral land's secret realm, and even finding the ultimate treasure related to the ancestral blood, all have to do with one thing. That thing is the golden light beads. Golden light beads? When the spirit of the sacred artifact uttered these 4 words, the young warriors were all stunned. Meanwhile, Yi Chen's mind stirred, and he immediately raised his hand, which was still holding the golden fruit he had harvested earlier from the azure plant on the ground. Could this be the golden light bead? Looking at the walnut-sized, resplendently golden fruit in his hand, seeing the golden light rays that occasionally shot out from it, Yi Chen had a guess. At this moment, the golden fruit in Yi Chen's hand suddenly flew up. Then, the voice of the spirit of the sacred artifact resonated. "Correct. This is the golden light bead." In the peripheral area of the ancestral land, billions of green flow creeper plants sporadically grow the golden light beads. If you wish to exchange for the sacred relics on the myriad treasure stele, you must use golden light beads. Also, whether the top 10 wish to enter the central area and seek the grand opportunity indicated by the map of the ancestral land secret realm, or the great opportunity related to the ancestral blood, or even if others want to venture into the central area, they must use golden light beads to exchange for the opportunity to enter. Hearing the words of the spirit of the sacred artifact, everyone looked towards the azure plants growing all over the ground, and at the occasional golden fruits on them. They hadn't expected that the challenge of this peripheral area would be related to these golden fruits. Golden light beads? How were they to be exchanged? While everyone was wondering, the myriad treasures stele suddenly lit up with a bright glow, and then every treasure had a number attached to it. Huang level superior martial skill, 1,000 golden light beads for 1 set. Small spirit pills, 5,000 golden light beads for 1. Xian level inferior martial skill, 10,000 golden light beads for 1 set. Superior spirit weapon, 50,000 golden light beads for 1. For the 4 most precious items, the number of golden light beads required had reached an astonishing level. Ethereal spirit ring, 200,000 golden light beads for 1. Life origin pill, 500,000 golden light beads for 1. Creation yuan pill, 1 million golden light beads for 1. Heavenly Saint Dekong's innate essence map, 10 million golden light beads for 1 set. Upon seeing the number 10 million, the young warriors were so astonished that their mouths hung open. Heavens! 10 million, such a massive number. Just picking them up would exhaust them to death, let alone harvesting them from these plants. No wonder the number 1 treasure of the myriad treasure stele had not been exchanged for over 1,000 years. Needing 10 million golden light beads for an exchange. Surely, no one could collect that many golden light beads, right?